welcome to another episode of the Pop Shock Podcast. This is episode 34, and
Jesus.
I know we're getting there, getting up there.
Like,
I'm Dan.
every episode we've said something like that. Like, oh,
I know,
for
it's
fuck's
getting
sake,
old.
Dan.
I,
34.
I'm Dan. The other old guy's Chris. What's happening, Chris?
Thank you, how you doing?
And then we're joined by
I'm
babyface
joined
Jerd.
by the beautiful Jerd. Oh,
Well, that's a weird. I fancy a finger gun. It just looks like I don't know.
that was
40 fingers.
are we talking in like
What's the
sign
crack?
language?
That's a good idea for a podcast, an audio platform. Let's do sign language.
I don't know what this is.
translate,
Is
Chris.
Is that a thing?
That's more of a
I don't
visual
know.
thing.
We should have learned the endure and survive and
Endure
endure.
and survive. Oh yeah, well, sign language is relevant this week, right? Yeah. So before we get to all that, we are going to talk the news first, because that's what we do in this podcast again. The news is back, but not a great deal happened this week. But the first one,
Absolutely fuck all.
well, the first one that did happen that I was kind of interested in talking about was just the fact that Barbarian's creator has sold his new script. Zach Kreger was the guy that made Barbarian. He's got this other script called Weapons, and he has sold it to New Line Cinema for $38 million. Not bad.
30 million or 38?
38 million.
It's
38.
not much of a difference, really. That's
38.
good.
So-
either way, yeah. That's
There you
class.
go. I mean, you make a small but successful, horror film, and you make a lot of money off it. Then I guess that's your price.
Yeah.
He's good at
Um,
one-word titles.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. That's the most interesting thing is that Barbarian was a kind of obscure one-word title. What could weapons be? Like that sounds more like a kind of action John Wick title to me than it does a horror movie. But I guess I don't know.
No, you could say that woman was a weapon in the basement, you know. A weapon of destruction.
Oh, I thought you were just like randomly commenting. You could use that as a praise. I was like,
just a
that's a good
random
choice.
Just a random person. No. Goal thing.
I'll see whatever Zach Kreger does next. I really enjoyed Barbarian. It was one of my favourites of last year. And it's going to be a name now that when I see it, I'm like, yep, I'll check that out. I'll see what he's doing.
He's quite old, is it? No, not old.
No,
like
he's super young. He's only like I don't know, 30s. Like he's.
Oh, is he? Oh, God, and he's already got fucking 38 million for that script. Fucking hell.
Retire off that.
I know. Like, you wouldn't need to write anything ever again. You could go to Barbados and just.
Oh, sorry. So he's 41.
Barbarian is off.
He's still-
Barbarian, Barbados.
He's still a young guy. He's 41.
That's still fine. Oh.
Uh,
See if I'm 41 and I have 38 million off
That'd be nice.
done that.
I know, I'd be gone. I'd be.
You literally couldn't spend that, like, well, you could, but imagine.
You could go to the
30, nearly 40
just
million,
say
and you're in your
a million.
40s, so like the chance to even reach in your 80s is slim, like, so you've nearly $1 million a year, like, handy out, live off the fucking.
That's what we need to do. We need to win.
Yeah, can we just like win? I'm always like, I'll just do the lotto and win it. I'm like, yeah. I'll probably win.
I'm
I'll
not
just
sure that's
do
one,
it.
but I'll just win the lottery. It'll be fine.
Could you imagine just like, I think everyone has to do that every once in a while. Just imagine winning like Euro Millions, it's like 100 million.
48, 50 odd. Yeah.
And you do see people who get that amount of money and fucking lose it in a couple of years. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'd give it a good go. I'd give it a good go.
Yeah. That's great, though, yeah.
But
And even for just like a writer to be paid that much for a script, that's really cool. I wonder is he going to be? Is that like? Is it just the script is bought, or is he potentially going to work it? Or I assume that he direct Barbarian too.
He did. Yeah, he wrote and directed it. Yeah.
Oh, so he directed that? Was that his first director?
I believe so. Yeah.
Wasn't he the guy who was in the sketch group?
Yeah, he was in a comedy group.
What was it called? Something outdoor or something?
Because that's why a lot of people are comparing him to Jordan Peele because comedian.
Was he like the outdoor kids or something?
Yeah.
I think I saw them come up. I remember hearing it, and I think I saw
whitest,
them up on YouTube.
the whitest kids, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, maybe. There's something else. There's the Kids in the Hall. Is it like a Canadian one? I think.
So
Canadians are pretty
he's
good.
directed like TV stuff before this, like kind of one-off episodes. But this is his first proper feature movie. Yeah, it was Barbarian.
Did you feel like, see when you were watching it, did you feel like it was like a first person's shot at it?
It felt in a good way, like it felt fresh to me, and it felt inspired. Like it didn't feel some older directors, sometimes their stuff starts to feel a bit kind of jaded and a bit, I don't know,
Yeah.
cliche. But no, it felt just some of the interesting shots, like that first person shot with the knife down in the basement with Justin Long. For a split second, you see that, and then don't know, just different ways that they shot it. I just thought it felt fresh. It felt,
Yeah. Well, I think particularly if someone's first film and it has broken out and got a bit of success, it's because it's fucking good. Like, they've nothing really, a director who's more well known can make something that's not necessarily half as good, but like 3/4 as good, and it gets seen by more people. But this is getting seen because it's picked up so well.
But the good thing is, he wrote it and directed it, so he was in full creative control. So hopefully
that doesn't change. Hopefully, he gets to keep that creative control. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if he was just the writer in one, and then a director took over it, and it was just a shit movie, and it was his script. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's always interesting. I always thought about Tarantino. Like, True Romance was his script, and it came out like what? Must have only been a year or two before Reservoir Dogs, was it?
Well, it was a movie that he sold to get the budget for Reservoir Dogs. Like that's he sold that so he can make Reservoir Dogs. Yeah.
I had a book about his life, and I probably should know that.
I've got his new book behind me, but I've not read it yet. But it's all about him analysing movies and stuff, cinema.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, he goes through his earliest inspirations and the stuff he fell in love with when he was young, and then he goes through up to the Grindhouse era in the 70s and stuff. And then talks his own stuff in the 90s and that.
Interesting. His endless knowledge seems tiresome. It's just like he says all these different things. I'm like, I don't really want to watch all these fucking 70s cop shows or whatever. I think I sent you that link. It was something about, I don't know whose film it was. I can't even remember the fucking name of it now. But there was something with Tarantino and Coppola speaking about it at the same time. It was about a truck going over like a rope bridgey, that kind of thing, and it was a really difficult shot to do, but the only way they could do it, they couldn't fake it, so they just had to do what was in the film. And one of the Coppola's back then, if you wanted something fantastical in your film, you had to do something fantastic and film it. Certain things, I'd say, but I think most times when I see him speaking, it's just like, Jesus, he knows a lot of stuff. And where do I start? It's just all just says no.
I admire his knowledge, but I wouldn't want to be in a room with him, alone.
That's what I was going to say.
Did you ever hear that thing about Fiona Apple? I think it was. You know the singer Fiona Apple?
Yeah.
She used to go out with Paul Thomas Anderson, and she said she was in a room with Paul Thomas Anderson and Tarantino, and they're both doing coke, and something like,
what?
I wanted to kill myself. They were so. The two of them together were just so fucking arrogant and wouldn't shut up. She just I don't know, did she break up Paul Thomas? She said something about it like it was one of the worst experiences of her life. I just thought that was fucking hilarious.
Tarantino.
Oh man!
Did you see the video of the guy coming up trying to film Tarantino, and Tarantino goes Tarantino show him a slap? It's like, well, fair enough. Don't be just fucking following someone randomly. Tarantino seems like this guy who could be a bit of a break, and there was that stuff with Uma Thurman with the car. It was really awesome, didn't feel great, and all the feet stuff. But certain amount from seems like an all right guy.
I wouldn't say he was a bad guy.
He's maybe a bit old fashioned or whatever.
There's certain folk. I mean, I guess you don't know, stuff develops all the time, but there's certain folk that after all the Me Too stuff came out, I'm kind of see if Tarantino was going to be cancelled, he would have been by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he had done something, we would probably not. I mean, not necessarily, but yeah. I just feel like if he was going to get weeded out, I think he's one of the ones that people would suspect and look into. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like he's probably
good.
Tomorrow. Tarantino. Shut down.
New Harvey Weinstein. But let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Well, how do we get there? Barbarian?
The writer.
That's in team.
So that kind of answers the question we had last week actually when we were talking about all the DC stuff. Constantine 2 is officially still happening. Being confirmed.
Yeah. I was sure the same day I saw a headline saying it was confirmed, I was sure I saw something that said it was cancelled.
It wasn't obviously announced in the video that James Gunn did, but apparently, despite DC Studios being reset, Warner Bros. Has confirmed that the previously announced sequel to Keanu Reeves' Constantine is still in the works, likely under the new DC Elseworlds category. So it would just fall into the same
That's cool.
part of the universe as Joker and stuff.
Because it's weird, because it's like I don't really know Constantine that well, but I don't think the film is really like that, is it?
It's not faithful at all, no.
Like
But
he's not American. He's American and stuff.
But do you know something? I like both. I like that movie and I like the comic version. I didn't like. Okay, it's not faithful.
It seems I haven't seen it in ages.
Interesting, different version. I mean, in the comic, he's blonde, he's British, he smokes. You know, he's entirely different.
He's more,
Like, okay, he wears a suit and a trench coat. That's the only thing that they kind of actually took. But no, I like Keanu's take. I think from movies in that era, Constantine's one of the best. I think it's one of the ones that holds up the best.
I'm not even sure if I ever saw it properly.
No, that's good.
I think it would be weird, Jink. See if. Oh, I was going to say, Jink, it would be weird if Keanu put on like a British accent, but he'd done that in Dracula.
And Dracula, we've seen that.
Yeah,
way better just being American Keanu. Just stick to that,
just
mate.
Be American, just do that. No, I can't imagine him with like see if he does make it like a Halloween special or something. Get him to dye his hair blonde, wear the trench coat, and then just go to speak in English.
Like One Division. Do you know something though? What is curious about this? I do think it's quite niche. Like, even though I think Constantine 2, like, people like it, I just feel like there's going to be a lot of people that don't even remember that movie came out like 15 years ago when this new one comes out. And I also feel like if this wasn't Keanu, they wouldn't have bothered keeping it. I think they would have canned it if it wasn't somebody as sort of liked as Keanu. Because Keanu slap his name in a movie and he's, people are going to buy tickets.
Do you think that's one? Do you think they're going to try and hype on like the John Wick train of like when John Wick comes out?
John Wick coming out this year as well and everything. I totally like. I just think if this was any other actor, they probably wouldn't bother going to trouble to keep it because it's Keanu. They're like, there's money here.
Yes, like it's even like half. It's still like I don't know if it's properly true, but all the John Wick films still make a lot of money. Like, they make like $500 million or something like that, and it's just him shooting a bunch of guys
and
over and over,
including myself. Watch it, watch it.
Oh yeah, I watch it. Yeah.
And like that's the thing, it doesn't get old. Like you know what you're getting, but
yeah, fucking hell. Oh, good on him,
Long live Keanu.
Yeah. What age do you think he will stop? Is he like in his mid-50s? Jenky's going to stop, or Jenky's just going to continue?
Liam Neeson's still going like.
He still seems pretty, physically at the top of his game. So why not?
Yeah.
Aye, Liam Neeson's still doing fucking Taken 30 years after the first film. He's just a different title. It's like Shops, and you're like, oh, it's like he's going in to fucking shoot a shop or something.
and then the editor has to go in and edit out all the scenes where he's peed himself.
That's not
Oh, that's shocking.
Listen,
they wear black jeans, you can't see it. If you just wear black jeans,
Fair enough.
Oh, poor Liam Neeson.
So last piece of news, talk about ridiculous stuff. Fast 10 got a trailer, and Jesus Christ.
Yes.
That was what a lot of shit. What a lot of shit.
I can't remember. I don't think I've ever seen anything in the 90s of someone licking a knife with blood on it.
Yeah, it's very blatant.
I don't think I've seen anything that 90s, but it seems so 90s.
Yeah,
I love it how like Jason Momoa is just Jason Momoa in this. He's like not really changed anything. I'm like, all right, they don't give a fuck anymore. Like
they just gave a suit and jacket, and that's another thing. But I mean, Jason Momoa, you don't, he was Aquaman. Like, you don't need to change him. Just have him do that and be cheesy. You know what I mean? Like, it's all you need.
Sold.
But I mean, the stunts look cool, and it just looks ridiculous. Like, there's just no physics anymore. It's just it feels like, see, when you play a game on PC and it's been modded to hell and it doesn't even resemble the original game anymore. That's kind of what the Fast Universe feels like at this point. It's like, remember they were stealing DVD players once? Like, that's when it started, and now we're
early
here.
90s, the 2000s.
Like, there's two fighter jets firing cable chains into Vin Diesel's car. It's just insane, but it's great.
It's one of those
and
things
again,
where
like John Wick, just like how I watch John Wick, hitting headshots all day long, 8 times in a row, I'll also watch Vin Diesel driving off the side of a cliff in slow motion 10 times.
I could. After like the third film, I was fucked with it.
Really?
Yeah. After there was a
Tokyo
one.
The first one. That was it.
I
watched the Tokyo one. The Tokyo one was good as well.
I've heard now that they get better and more enjoyable as they go on, but like and then get shit again. But
is this the last one, or is there going to
be
11?
We're doing 11. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's like now.
Of course, they have to go to 11. Like.
Yeah, of course. The Mission Impossible though, they're doing part 1 and 2 with their reckoning thing, so this is the same. They're doing. They saw Avengers do it with Endgame and Infinity War, and
I know everyone's doing it.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, they're just bringing people back who maybe weren't in them for a while or something.
Apparently, Gal Gadot's coming back in this one, even though she died in like 7. So
how'd she die?
She fell off. Remember the really long runway that was like 100 miles long or something? She was on that. She was fighting on the side of a car, and then she like fell into the smoke. So she didn't.
Oh, you didn't see it?
In the fashion universe, there's totally a mattress or a trampoline down there. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's fine. Like in the last one, they showed you Hans crash, and he was just standing next to the FBI guy while this car, and he wasn't even in the car, and it was like, how? What? And then it's never explained it. It was just like, yeah, it's magic, I guess. Like, honestly, the film didn't even try to explain it.
Yeah, that's a like recurring thing of people coming back from the or I was never actually dead, and in this is. Momoa just edited back into one of the older films or something.
Oh, is he?
Past 5.
The previous ones.
Yeah, so this
is the first one. They do it all the time. Like, you had the last one, because I'm pretty sure it was John Cena that killed Han, which was the one that happened in Tokyo Drift like 10 years ago, and then they just put John Cena in it. Like, you know what I mean? They just add shit as they go, and it's just like, yeah, that was there the whole time. You're like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Works, works.
And John Cena is still Vin Diesel's brother, and he's tanned up for the role. So he's kind of in blackface, kind of.
Nah, to be honest, they didn't even really bother. Like, they didn't even really.
Someone told me he was like tanned.
Nah, I mean, just kind of like usual. Do you know what I mean? Not overly. But yeah, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. Like, apparently, like, because the only address they have of the fact he looks nothing like Vin Diesel in that movie is when Charlize Theron's got him captured, and she's like. Gets hand on his chin and she's like, "Oh, you've got a strong jawline. It must be the Nordic strain of the Toretto family." Like, there's a Nordic strain of the Toretto family. Like, what is that? Just absolute horseshit dialogue. You're like, okay,
that was definitely Diesel. Jake, that was
like
Diesel. God, yes. Say this.
Put that in the script. The Nordic strain of the Toretto family. Like, Toretto is such like a Hispanic name. It's like, yeah, they were Swedish. Like, what? So dumb.
And there's a lot of like big stars, like Helen Mirren is in it.
Yeah. Helen Mirren's Jason Statham's mum.
Okay, yeah.
And Luke Evans. Luke Evans and Statham are brothers, and Helen Mirren's her mom. And she's also a racing driver, of course.
And what was the other one?
What a fucking mess.
It's so good, man. It's the best. I'm going to go and watch all 9 of them tonight.
Oh,
that's what I'm wishing for after this.
The sad thing is, you would probably that was a mission that you would take on.
Oh, I'd have a blast. Imagine 9 Fast and Furious movies in a row. Like, this is great.
Oh fuck, no.
You'd be in your sleep, like no man.
I do appreciate it when you do watch those movies, you do want to go and buy those. Like, I remember like Need for Speed Carbon is one of the games that I loved playing with. Like, when that was.
And it completely ripped off Fast and Furious 3 when they race up the canyon. It's just
Yeah, I get it. I get the kind of appeal, but it's no for me.
Yeah, I think I played a little bit of one of those Need for Speed games, and I was like, yeah.
I like the last one.
Having car games.
The new one's solid. Unbound's really good. Gave it a break.
Brum brum. That's what I do.
Review on Fandomware if you want to read it. Why it's good.
When's your next video up for Fandomware?
I don't know. I've sent a script away for why the PS2 is the greatest console of all time. I don't know when that's going to get uploaded because it goes through editing and then there's a schedule because it's a weekly thing, so it gets put in the queue for a couple of weeks' time. I'll share it when it's live. Yeah. But yeah, and the next one I'm writing just now is why The Big Bang Theory is one of the worst television shows ever broadcast. So I'm quite enjoying that script because I'm just tearing holes out the Big Bang Theory. So.
How are you going to do that when that's not even true?
Well, it's not true. Jerd loves it.
Bazinga!
Bazinga, young Sheldon. So sorry, let's move on for the news. Let's go into what you've been watching this week because we want to get to our topic.
You've been watching a lot, man. Fucking hell.
See, it was one of the weeks actually that it came to like 2 days ago, and I was like, shit, I've not got anything to talk about in the podcast. And then I remembered, do you know what I mean? It kind of the penny dropped. But we'll talk about individually what we're watching first, and then talk about The Last of Us. Do that then.
Aye. I would just a wee summary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw The Whale, the Brendan Fraser movie.
Is it overhyped, or is it like?
Watch your spoilers now and think that what you think are spoilers aren't actually spoilers. What you think is just normal stuff is spoilers. So be wary.
There's nothing to spoil.
Okay.
It's shit.
Watch as he spoils it.
No, it's solid. This isn't a spoiler, but there is one. So it's one of the movies I was really enjoying it, and then a slightly cliched thing happened, and then they used that cliche really well. So I was fine with it.
Oh, right, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like like the Woman King had a similar cliche happen, and it pissed me off a bit because it didn't. It just felt a bit contrived. Whereas The Whale uses it to benefit the characters, the character arcs. So I really like that about it. For me, it's an 8. It's an 8 out of 10. It's solid.
Is it worth the hype? Like, is it definitely what people are talking about? Like, it's
really good, right? It's really well written. It's incredibly acted. All the rest of it, but it's based on a play, and you can very much feel that it's based on a play. It feels small, but from a director like Aronofsky, that's kind of interesting. I think, like limiting the guy that made Black Swan and Requiem for a Dream. Like when you limit him down to this one room, what can he do with that? Do you know what I mean? I guess that's kind of saves it, but it does feel like the whole movie takes place in the one room, like his house, his living room, basically, because he can hardly move. So the whole movie's in that room, and then you've got Brendan Fraser in the suit, on the screen the whole movie, and characters coming in and out. Is coming to see him. There's a nurse that looks after him. But it just feels like a play. Do you know what I mean? There's certain kids that chap his door, like a Jehovah's Witness chaps the door that kind of gets to know. There's a delivery guy that's kind of checking on him and sort of but it's all just him and this. He's a hermit. He doesn't go out. He teaches from home. He's an online lecturer, but he doesn't use a webcam. He just has a black screen. Tells the students that his webcam's not working, so they can't see him. And then it does kind of unveil why he's put himself in the position he's in, and it doesn't make you feel. It's not like feel sorry for him necessarily. It explains the situation and explains that he's not completely free of blame, and lets you decide, which I liked. It's not like, oh, he's fat, feel sorry for him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, he's ate himself into a point that he's he could drop dead tomorrow by a heart attack. Why did that happen? And did the things that he did before that, was it his own fault? Did it lead here? Could he have done more for other people in his life that aren't in the picture anymore? And the reason that they're not in the picture because he pushed them away is now that's why he's managed to get so fat, because there's nobody to stop him. You know what I mean? He's shunned his ex-wife. He's shunned. So I don't know. It's an interesting look at more at loneliness and like being a hermit and not going out, I guess, than it is. I mean, also they do the sort of stress eating. There's a stress eating montage where like he has a shit day and a lot happens, goes down, and he eats like stuff until he throws up in a bin, and it's horrible. But
oh god,
bits like that feel a bit, I don't know if unnecessary is the word, but just not the most interesting part of the movie. Do you know what I mean? Like there's other parts of the movie that are more interesting that don't focus on that. But no, overall I liked it, and again I think he's a shoo-in for the Oscar. Like I don't, as much as I thought Colin Farrell was great in Banshees, and I would probably personally give it to Farrell, I can see the Academy going for Brendan.
I bet you would.
That would what? He's a handsome man.
He is
a handsome man.
I don't know. It's not really. I think the best of the time. My mates used to have this thing about me where it was like, for years they'd like to want to watch something like, oh, can we not just watch something funny? I just always say that, and not that I don't think I'm fully like that now, but I'm more like, can I watch some sci-fi horror kind of thing? Like watching a kind of drama like that. I don't know. Do you know something? It's hard for me to push myself into something like that.
The reason that I wanted to catch this in the cinema, because it's not a movie that necessarily needs to be seen in the cinema. Like a bit of weird aspect ratio with black bars outside. It's all shot in one room. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to see it in a big. It's not like Gravity or a Fast and Furious movie that you need to go, or Avatar. It's all just a guy's slobby apartment. But for me, it's hard to talk Courtney into watching films like this, heavy films, when we're in the house. See if we make a night of it, and we're also, you're in the cinema, you can't look at your phone, you have to watch the movie. I think for Courtney, that's the best way watch, to see it.
Yeah.
Because when we were in the house and I'll ask to put on the Green Knight or something, she's like, "Oh," do you know what I mean? Like she'd rather just put on an Avengers movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas I feel like if I can trick her at a date night, then you know what I mean? Then it pays off. But yeah, I don't know. I also just like seeing shit in the cinema, regardless of whether it's a movie that's like a big scale or not. I prefer the experience of seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's if I had one closer, if I had one like at the end of the road, yeah,
That's a bit of effort for you, right? Yeah.
It's not the worst, but it's like I don't drive, so I'd have to get a bus. It's about 20 minutes. Yeah, I couldn't be there half the time. If it's a Marvel film, I'll go. But yeah. Other than that, it's something just I can. There's always. I think at any time when you actually have the time to sit down and watch a film, there's always something out that you haven't seen that you don't have to go to the cinema for. So unless it's something like, I don't know. I'm trying to think what else would actually draw me to the cinema these days, apart from kind of superhero fare, like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get you feeling there's like not any massive movies in the sense of it would be just superheroes, really.
Listen, I don't know if you've seen, there's a thing going about now, and it's the lineup for March 2023, and Jesus Christ, there's a lot out in March. Like, I don't know, there's a lot I'll be going to see in the cinema in March. Hold on, I'll see if I can bring it up. But it's like the new John Wick's out. What else? You've got, oh god, there's loads out. There's Ant-Man. Yeah, there's loads out next month.
March is always a hot month. Like, it's always like Creed's coming out.
That's it. Creed's on it. Yeah.
Creed.
Creed.
I don't know.
But yeah.
I don't know the rest of them.
I don't know. I like seeing.
Resident Evil 4.
I hate.
Oh yes.
I hate people. I do hate like other cinema goers. I wish that you could have a hack where you could just go to empty screenings all the time and just be the only person in the cinema. But
turn off fellow customer visibility.
Yeah.
Like sliders.
Apply mods. Yeah.
Shit! Scream's out. Scream's
out next month. There you go. That's another one.
Yeah. A lot of films too. I notice I'm like 2 or 3 films behind the new one that's out, so I'm like, I'm not going to watch that now.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a knock-on effect if you don't kind of get things at a certain time. By the time the next one comes out, it just seems it's ever growing. Like God of War, like I'm like, I have to finish the first one before the first PS4 one.
Would you need to watch the for Scream? I always thought it would just be it kind of explains the story in the film.
No,
something part of the newer trilogy, isn't it?
I mean, it's Scream, so it's Scream. But
that's what I was
Scream
what
5,
actual number is it? 6,
this is 6. Yeah, this is 6.
Yeah, okay.
There is something quite significant that happens in Scream 5, actually, to do with a major character that's been out since the start. Something happens in Scream 5, but it's Scream. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's...
Yeah. I think it was like the first 3 came out, then it was like maybe, I don't know what, 10 years, and the 4th one came out. No, it came out by itself.
Yeah, it was a good way after. And that was the last one that Wes Craven made. That was his last. 5 came out like 2 years ago or something. Yeah,
or last year.
That had 2 directors. I can't remember. I think it was a male and a female, and they kind of got permission from Wes Craven's family and stuff, and kind of with it. And yeah, it was good. It still felt the same. It didn't lose its theme. Do you know what I mean? It still felt like the same movie.
Is that why they didn't do another one after 4? Did Wes Craven do 4?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Is it just because he died? Do you think that they kind of stopped it, or like they were bringing it back then? Did it not do well at 4 or what?
I don't know. Scream 4 was alright. Scream 3 is the worst, but
yeah. Scream 3. Oh, man. I mean, he done good, Wes Craven. He done Nightmare.
Oh, I mean, look at his filmography. It's terrible.
What else has he done? What they're 2 of the biggest things. Like, you can't ask for two separate, super successful franchises.
Oh, really? I don't.
What else has he done though? He's done a couple other, mainly stuff to horrors, didn't he?
Oh, he done Swamp Thing. He wrote
Nightmare on Elm Street and
which Swamp Thing?
Swamp Thing, 1982. Wow. He wrote it and directed it.
Didn't even know that was
the last house on the left. That was him. The House of Ice, the original House of Ice.
Oh no, not the original.
The original House of Yep.
Really?
No, the 19. Wow. The 19. Oh well, no, because there is no. Sorry, this is a remake, right? Because the original was like this is 1977.
Oh, I've talked about that in the pod before. The remake, I saw that when I was a teenager, and I fucking thought it was great. I just thought it was the first film I saw where it was a family who were being like hunted down, as opposed to like a group of friends. So like it actually really stuck with me.
That is original 1977's House of Ice.
Oh, he did the original. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus, my God, he must have loved his horror. Like fucking hell, he must have had a troubled childhood. Like Jesus.
I've just noticed with my TV behind me and the kind of contrast here. Do you ever see in like Red Dwarf, there's the floating heads? And that time going on and I'm moving around.
Like... Chris, do you want to talk about something you've watched?
I see since watching The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I wanted to rewatch just to see what other video game adaptations that came out in the last couple of years. And I've just briefly watched. Did any of you watch the Halo TV series that came out in Paramount?
No.
Oh my God, it is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
It was atrocious.
It's like took. I don't know why they never even followed the games elements of it. They took the characters and just put them in weird situations, and they showed the actual main character's face, Master Chief, what you're not supposed to do.
He just takes his helmet off constantly, right?
Yeah,
it's
just. But like they had some good action scenes.
And that's the thing. I like Pablo Schreiber. Like he's.
I was just going to say he's Levi's brother, isn't he?
Very tall.
Or Lev. Levi.
Lev.
Yeah, Lev and Pablo.
Right.
Yeah, but it just shows the difference in quality. Like from the HBO show, I don't know if it was because maybe it was like space. It was maybe more expensive to do CGI. I don't know, but the actual story. Like that shows like video games can be done well when it's taken seriously with this HBO thing. Yeah. But man, that was a disaster after because I want to just see, is it because it's like sci-fi and it's different, or is it because it's a different platform?
It had a huge budget, right? And then you also had, and then they were going to do it before Steven Spielberg was going to do something to do with it. I don't know if they were going to make an episode or something. And then what's his name, Neil Blomkamp, that did District 9, he was tied to it. And now none of those talented people are doing it, and it's just on Paramount Plus, and it's not.
Well, it's like it's a very different kind. It's a couple of differences in the genre. I guess that's how you're going to approach it. Like no matter what way you look at it, it's still people and colorful aliens and stuff. Like so, it always has that chance to be a little bit daft. But I think it's just.
I think it's bland. I think that's the problem. Like I think the show's just bland. I think that's
it's just bad. But I'd imagine it's like what can happen is just it's badly made. Like you could. There's an alternate reality where Last of Us is shite and
the MCU like Fluke, right? Like the MCU could I'm saying the MCU's kind of Fluke. That could easily have been garbage. Like
well, I think with the MCU it could have easily not been the thing at all. Like that, like they to the best of my knowledge, like they basically gambled Marvel to make Iron Man, and like even I was just thinking about that recently, how the scrappiness of it, because like I'm listening to old Weekly Planets, and they're talking about the very start. They're like, oh yeah, there won't be a Spider-Man in this, and like I don't know, just thinking of those kind of things, it was kind of interesting to see. Like Jesus, like. I don't even think necessarily that'd be bad. It just could have never taken off at all easily. Like say imagine if Iron Man was a thing and if that bomb and that story is as accurate as they make it out to be, Marvel could have been sold and resold and disbanded and whatever. Like you never know. Madness.
We would have never had the end game. We would have never had that.
Yeah. But it could have had a retroactive effect on the comics too. Like
totally. So what you're saying is, Chris, don't watch Halo?
I'm just saying that the quality difference in shows, I don't know if it's shocking. Just the writers or the actual people taking care of it. It's so weird. Like it's weird how different shows get paid more attention. It might be because HBO is known for really good TV. I don't know if there is any bad.
You've also got Greg Mazin who did. Was it Craig Mazin that did Chernobyl? Like you do have creative talent there. That's
you've got a good
proofed in the pudding. And also he started talking about started off as comedy writers. He started off as a comedy writer, right?
Oh, fuck, I had no idea.
Yeah,
but the guy who did Chernobyl, He connects to Peep Show or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's like.
Or it was a collection of guys who did. Oh, I'm very confused because then there's the guys that did Succession. Or maybe like there's two guys who did Chernobyl. One did Succession, one did Last of Us. Something like
Oh
that.
my god! He wrote Scary Movie 3 and Scary Movie 4.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Scary Movie 3 was actually good.
And is he the English writer?
He co-wrote that. No, he's American. He co-wrote the Hangover sequels.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Hangover 2 and 3.
I think he teamed up with the Peep Show guy for Succession. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or it's something like that. Because I also I know the guy to Succession is a comedy writer, and I'm pretty sure he's from Peep Show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No,
I don't think Craig Mazin has anything to do with Peep Show. No, I don't think so.
But he did the Succession with him.
Or Succession. No, nothing to do with that. Either.
Okay, all right.
According to Wikipedia.
Excuse me, what?
According to Wikipedia. The source of truth.
Jerd, do you want to give us something you've been watching before we talk about Last of Us?
Give me a moment.
If you're looking, I can go.
The Spider-Man PS4. I'm on the last DLC. It's my first time replaying the DLC, but trying to do 100, like doing the bases and trying to do 100 hit combos and 95 hit combos. Very frustrating. You get it so close. Or there's other ones then when you have to get a certain score in a fight, and it's just like fucking hell. I think it's the peak of the game, especially after like kind of just not playing it in ages, and obviously having like this weird relationship and come back to it every couple of months. But just as
it's a grind, it's definitely.
I don't do it with Spider-Man, but I do that with certain games. Yeah.
Well, I don't even know necessarily a grind, but it's just that particular when the game and you've been playing it long enough and you're kind of getting yourself to a level. I guess there's not many games that fully challenge you all the time. You know, like if sometimes you can kind of like you can have like you have a bit of a skirmish in some shooter or fighter or whatever, and it's like it's kind of challenging, but sometimes they're just not. And like to get to that certain level, isn't the Spider-Man aspect of it just being like faster and stuff. Yeah, pretty enjoyable. Have you finished now?
What's the DLC for that one? Is it the one where like the grey lady? I can't remember.
Yes, Silver Sable.
Sable. The grey lady.
Yeah, it's a bit but like I think a lot of people were like very kind of negative towards the DLCs, but
I liked them. I thought they were good.
They were fine. They were fine.
Yeah, they were fine.
Like I was saying, it was like the few quiet issues after a big storyline or something. Like the people going on about the Hammerhead changing himself into a cyborg, but they just there's another character who did that, and he's like as old as Silvermane, I think he's called. Like he did that in the comics, and people, who the fuck would well, someone else did it, like so it's not that much of a fucking difference. But it is funny with Hammerhead being, as they say, like the front of his head is adamantium. But like if you just punched him hard, like the Weekly Planet guys were talking about, it was like if you just punched him hard enough, his skull would go into his brain.
Yeah.
So like I'm sure I watched something else during the week that isn't Last of Us, but right now I don't. I'll have to come back to.
Okay. So I was just going to bat out a few because they're all kind of semi-connected. I did an article for Fandom Wire called "The 5 Most Underrated Games from Recent Years." To be honest with you, that article was mostly an excuse for me to go back to certain games that I've had for a while and not gotten around to. One of them was called Planet of the Apes: Last Frontier. Now, this game, I put it on that list because it's not good, right? But it's worth going. No, but it's worth going back to because it's almost good. Like it's got the potential to have been good. Like it's almost, do you know what I mean? But it's just a miss. Like it's tied to the Andy Serkis trilogy, which obviously is solid. It's set between 2 and 3. You're playing as a group of apes who were a part of Caesar's tribe and have left, or they get left behind during a battle and now they're having to fend for themselves. And it's very like Quantic Dream games, like Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls or Detroit Become Human. Like you choose options on what to say, how to handle situations, how to approach things, and you play as both an ape and certain parts as a human. And those parts feel more like the second movie with the kind of human characters, the family that were there. It feels more like sort of that vibe with Gary Oldman and stuff. So, It was interesting. But, do you know something that looks
Graphics
right?
look good though. Like, graphics.
So right, that's another thing. Here's a wee slagging. I get sent a PS5 game for review called Deliver Us Mars. Now it's a sequel. It's a AA game, right? So it's not a huge budget. It's a sequel to a game called Deliver Us the Moon. That game's like 2023, right? Brand new. Here's a game, the Planet Apes game. I think it was 2016 or something. Like good few years older. Oh my Christ! It looks so much better than the 2023 game. It looks so much better than that Deliver Us Mars, and it played better. The performance was better, and it's not. Again, they're both small games, small budgets, and it just shows you that I don't know. Presentation matters, but anyway. On to another game that's kind of semi-connected because Planet of the Apes. This game's also about an ape. You play as a monkey called I can't remember what his name is, but he has to retrieve the crown of Wu, and it's a story based on Journey to the West, like the classic Chinese folktale. And you play as this monkey, and it's like, do you know something? There's a demo for it, and it feels like a PS2 game. Like it's just got that air to it. It's platformy, it's floaty, it's got, but it's also bloody difficult. See, the combat is hard. It's solid, and it feels like an old game in that sense as well. Like it doesn't hold your hand. It's
what's it called?
The Crown of Wu, WU. Interestingly, there's 2 games coming out based on the same story this year, both based on Journey to the West. There's this game, Crown of Wu, and then there's a more kind of darker looking, it looks a bit like Bloodborne, kind of Dark Soulsy, called The Black Myth Wukong, and they're both pretty much the same story, and they both look interesting in their own way. Crown of Wu does look somewhat like the budget version in comparison with that other game, but I don't know, it's just, I think it's worth trying it the demo because that's what it did to me. It reminded me of like how games used to be, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Like Evil West reminded me of like older, kind of PS3 era games in a good way. Crown of Wu sort of does in a bad way, but I would say play the demo, and also the game's not out yet, so it might feel different, better, more fluid when it does come out. Speaking of that though, that was actually the first story that I wrote for Game Rant because I'm writing for Game Rant now. So I just wanted to let folks watching know that. I'm going to link some of my shit below on Game Rant if you want to check it out. Just put a wee plug in there.
Woo! Crown of Woo!
Is that the first couple of articles you wrote then for them?
Yeah, I've wrote about 5 news stories for them this week. So this has just been my first week. So I'm just kind of getting the swing of it. But
jeez, that looks good, man. I'm watching the trailer here.
Yeah, it looks interesting. And it's pretty. I like the art style. I like the design.
I like
the
PS2. I was picturing something more simple, but like it looks fairly.
No, it looks nice. It just
modernized version of that.
The way it feels, the way it plays is very that.
I thought when I saw the first, I was like, "Is that cell shaded?" It's like not really, but like the colors are pretty vibrant and they have similar tones to cell shading. You know what I mean?
There's a demo on PS5 and there's a demo on Steam as well, so it's worth checking out. Worth playing.
And you are a monkey.
You are a monkey.
Oh, is that like the little films?
What films?
Wasn't there like Japanese or Chinese films where there was a monkey guy?
Yeah, I'm sure there has been because I'm sure that story.
Live action ones, no? I'm pretty sure
I
remember watching that kind of stuff when I was younger.
I know it's a god. Is it no a god?
Like yeah. I think the gods is who's taking the crown. I think that's the sort of idea, but to be honest with you, I don't know much about the original story, but it is like, it is kind of like large scale, kind of mythical, like kind of God of War, I guess. Almost.
Fuck yeah. Sorry.
That somewhat ties into the last thing I'm going to talk about because Sifu is a game that I've been interested in a while. In a while. It's a kung fu martial arts game where you play as.
Oh, sorry. There was a TV show adapted from Journey to the West too. It's just called Monkey.
All right. Okay.
Oh, was there? You probably recognize it.
Nah.
No. I remember watching that. Yeah, that was good. Sorry.
So Sifu is just with a sort of Asian influence. Sifu is a game all about kind of kung fu, and it's like a classic kind of Japanese movie or Chinese movie that you used to see when you were young. You play as this character at the start who kills this old master in front of his child. Then you realise that he's the bad guy of the game, and then you play as a child growing up and going on a revenge quest. But that's not the interesting part of the game. The interesting part of the game, both the combat feels good, but every time you die, your character ages a year. So you start at 20. If you die, you're 21. You die again, you're 22. You're 20. So it's kind of representative of like a lifelong revenge quest. Like I'm on, I go on like the 4th chapter, and my guy's like 50. He's got grey hair now and stuff because he's died that many times.
What happens if you get too old?
If you get too old, you get too old, you need to start the thing again. I think 70 is as old as you can get.
Start the whole thing.
Yeah, so you start at 20, you die at 70, so you've got like 50 deaths to get through it.
That's an interesting concept. That's really
interesting. Yeah, I've seen lots of clips and lots of people playing it with mods as your Batman or Daredevil. Or...
Oh, that's cool.
That kind of hallway fight I've seen lots
of.
Very,
it's very old boy at certain parts. Yeah, and it's like the raid. It's like old boy. There's like execution moves you can do that are all that quick. Jabbing a guy with a knife and then cut his throat and stuff. Like it feels like.
Yeah, it looks like a lot. Like, how do you find the combat? Is it like there's a lot of levels to it? Is it difficult to get the hang of? Or...
No, it's really straightforward. It's more about timing. The actual controls are really simple. You've got square for a light attack, triangle for a heavy attack, and L1 to block. That's really the fundamentals of it. But if you block at the right time, you can parry. And then if you block and push the stick and press square, after the parry, you'll do like a hard push. You tap square loads of times, you'll do like a do. So you kind of, it's more about like just using those 3 buttons in different combinations.
It's bad. Like, I always...
It feels good.
Like, for me, going from Spider-Man 2 or PS4 to 2, it's still relative. Like, we still had the same. Like, when I was playing the X-Men Legends games, you're like, oh, you only have these 2 buttons. You still only have those 2 fucking buttons, really. Like, there's not many other games where they employ that much more.
The Arkham games have got some of the best combat in the last 20 years, I think, and those are like
just
3 buttons. Like,
2
buttons.
Yeah.
Like,
it's mad.
Don't need to overcomplicate it. Like, it's just it's more about how it feels and how you use those buttons in combination that matters, in my opinion. And again, going from the Crown of War to Sifu, like, oh my god, Sifu feels so much better, in its combat. But it's just interesting. I still think there's merit in playing games like Crown of War to just see, like, the different ways of doing it. But yeah, Sifu was on a sale. Been meaning to buy it for a while. I saw it. I think it was £20.
I want to give it a go.
Plus, and I was like, yes, I'm having a go. And I'm really enjoying my time with it. It's a lot.
I'm poorer than that, so I won't be buying it anytime.
There's a certain moment. I think it's in the 3rd mission you go to, because there's like the 5 people you need to kill. It's kind of like Kill Bill. There's a list of 5 names.
Oh yeah.
So I think the 3rd one's an art director. She's like an art dealer. So she's got this big fancy museum that you fight through. And then the boss fight with her is kind of like an art piece. Like, there's certain parts of it that I think the idea is you've been drugged, so you start to see weird shit. There's a part where it's just colours. It's like you're yellow, she's red, and the screen's just blue. And like when you're punching her, you see the blood and stuff. And then like the light changes, and then it's like like you're just silhouettes. Like, it's darkness with a white light behind you, and you're just 2 silhouettes fighting. And there's there's interesting stuff with the visuals as it kicks through. And it was a good moment in the game, because I guess that's probably about halfway through the game. It happens right at the point where you're starting to get a bit like, this is getting a bit old. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just doing the same thing, and then that happens, and you're like, oh yes, this is cool. And it keeps you interested, it keeps you playing. It's good, man. It's well made.
Cool. Yeah, it looks great. I've only seen clips now of there's people playing. Like, I really want to get into that whole concept of playing games with mods, because I know certain games. Like, I even seen people playing. What's the game? Days Gone with mods, and that looks really fucking interesting. There's a thing where you can like change the bullets. So every time you shoot, it attracts more zombies.
Oh god!
And then like it's just you shoot one person, they're all coming down from the hills. But yeah, seeing like Sifu, Sifu, seeing that people just doing like the very basic Daredevil black costume.
I need to see that.
That's actually I can see myself doing that just for that. Even like that just seems like a lot of fun.
But I just think it's insane. Like, the modding community are they are, but they're great. Like, they do a lot, but I just find it fascinating. Like, sometimes when you get, how come you've got better swinging mechanics in a mod on GTA 5 for Spider-Man than you do in the Avengers game? Do you know what I mean? It's like, how is a modder managed to get that better than an actual studio? Like, it's mind blowing. Or you've got a better Batman costume than we've ever seen in like a Batman game, and you're like, this is in GTA. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, because I think with the mods, they're like, I think with the older games, they could like basically just make their own games with it. Like, there's
sandbox games were like that, like Half-Life. That was like a huge example of that. It was just like a sandbox of tools, basically.
Yeah, well, like Resident Evil, I've seen lots of like Resident Evil 2 with different like titles and things. People just completely making them. Like, I've seen one there where it starts off, you're in the prison, and you should like escape the prison, and like it's whatever. They're just like be able to get in with the computer and just fuck it around. Yeah, it'd be just good. Like, even certain games, because you get to shit. Like, isn't that what DayZ came out of? That was like a survivalist mod. Or was it the survivalist simulator, and then it got modded into being a zombie game?
Yeah, was it not like Team Fortress 2 or something originally?
I think it was off a military game. DayZ came out of. I think it was something armored.
It was a very basic
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like an army thing, and they don't think they even have to change it. They just kind of had to implement zombies basically, and then change around.
And survival stuff like hunger and that.
But I think if I'm not mistaken, the hunger, that stuff might have been there already, because it was a kind of no.
I think that was added. I think survival stuff was added.
Yeah.
I loved it when it didn't have that, because you could just not.
Because certain servers didn't have that. Yeah.
Yeah, you could just like sit in like a bush and like have people run.
I got it for like a tenner on my PS5, and then I was like, I just googled it afterwards, and everyone was like, "Get the PC version; it's way better." And I'm like, "Oh fuck." There you go. I'm never gonna play that again. I uninstalled it off my PlayStation the last time. Like, I'm never gonna play it. Oh, and I got all those fucking PS Plus games. I think I got every one of them, even though I have no interest in playing half them. But
you might. There might come a day where you've got nothing to play, and you're like, "Oh, I'll stick this on." Do you know what I mean? Maybe. Probably not, but
I don't know. Some of those like Crash Bandicoot, I'm like, oh, no, what the...
That's one of the best ones we're talking about.
That's the great one, man. That's a brilliant one.
I don't think any of the ones I downloaded that I hadn't already. Maybe one or I don't know, like Drake's or something.
There's so many games that I always think I have like a really shit impression. Like, see, like God of War. My immediate impression was like, oh fuck, this is shit. But as soon as I usually have that, I realise like in 2 weeks later, I love the game. I always have a really harsh estimation. Even in the TV shows, I'm like, oh, I don't want this shit. And then I end up loving the thing.
I've kind of noticed that. Yeah, you've Labby Andor as well, right?
I judge things really.
You said that you kind of categorised that there a couple of weeks ago too. Yeah.
Kind of came around on it. Yeah.
Is it stuff that people have already bigged up to you, or you wouldn't just like? It's not like if you just start something you hate it, you don't just end up liking everything. Then, like.
Oh yeah. I always go in. If anybody's ever said it, and I always go in with like, oh, this can't be this good. It's going to be shite.
Yeah.
And then that's always there. And then it gets to a point where it hooks you, and you're like, all right, I
think I'm the opposite. Because like I went into everything everywhere all at once with expectations up here because everything I'd heard, and what I got was a good movie, but not the new Back to the Future. Do you know what I mean? The new Matrix. It's not up there for me. But it's great. It's well made. It's creative. It's interesting. I enjoyed it. But it's not. I was expecting the new kind of thing for this generation, and it just wasn't that. It was just a good movie. Like,
there isn't like what would you say, like touched on that? What would you say is like a Back to the Future from in nowadays? Is
honestly,
there anything like that massive?
I'd say it's MCU. That's the modern day
really?
Like the way Star Wars was in the 70s and 80s. That's what the MCU is, right? It's
Dependent, but it's so fractured now because there's so many people with so many different interests.
Yeah, look at
like Hereditary. What's the one with what's their face? Oh, it's not Hereditary. Midsommar. That's some people's entire personality. And same with Hereditary. They're like, there's some people on those film sites who are, like the best films ever, and they all happen to come out in the last 5 years. Like,
shout out to the 24 film group that I'm in on Facebook because that's.
I never actually left that. They were annoying me so fucking much.
Yeah.
I think I did anyway. You didn't fucking do it. You go watch Marvel. Fuck off. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. There's been other films before Hereditary. High horror.
Elevated horror.
Elevated horror.
I don't know what you mean. Who's that again?
What was that?
John Carpenter? It was John Carpenter.
Yes, it was. It was. Yes, it was.
What's he called this new elevated horror? I've no idea what you mean.
Amazing.
Was that actually at the start of the last Scream too? The one is.
Yeah.
Is that Jenny Ortega is going on with that?
Yeah. They have a conversation.
I did. She's in fucking X too.
Yep.
I had no idea. Like that. That's really weird. I know she's like 21 or something. She looks like 14 to me. Like.
Funny enough, they don't talk about X in Scream 5. That would have been interesting if they brought X up, and it would be like, wait.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Chris, have you still been listening to The Witcher? Have you gave up yet? Are you still with it?
No, I got into the next book.
Is it still the one guy doing?
Oh, it's still the one guy. Aye, it's so weird. Like, it's so weird because usually at the beginning of the audiobook, you hear his normal voice, and he says chapter 1. I don't know, the ghost clause or something. Like, and he's a
so
how are you doing? Oh, we were walking down the street, and then he goes, oh, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like,
that sounds so good, man.
It's so weird, but you do kind of forget after you listen to it for about an hour. You're like, all right, okay. It's a guy doing 5 voices. Well done.
Yeah, I still have to hear a snippet of that just as the girl.
It's. I think see if you were to hear it with it, like you were real. I bought into the story, but see if you were just listening to it, you would take the piss out of it because.
I think someone. I was saying that to my housemate, and he was saying that because the normal people, Sally Rooney. Mm-hmm. She's from my hometown. Like I didn't really. I knew her brother, but I wasn't even fully sure. I think I knew he had a sister, but I never saw her before. I don't know her. But we were talking about that, and we were talking about the audiobook. The audiobook ever came up or something, where they were saying one of the characters. So they set that in the TV show, at least, and I imagine probably the book is set in Sligo, but the girl's actually from like Castlebar, like Mayo. I think the book is just set in Sligo. It's like a bordering county. But my mate was saying that the guy in it, I guess, is supposed to be from Sligo, but the guy whoever was doing the audiobook of him, his accent was from like all different places in Ireland. Like, because Ireland has like every county pretty much has their own distinct accent to a degree. Like, there'd be two beside each other might sound a bit similar, but then one over wouldn't sound like the one on the other side. But he just said the accents were fucking like you couldn't take it seriously at all. Like, it just literally sounds like he's from Cork, Mayo, fucking Donegal. Just every second line he came out with was just this weird, generic, not Dublin accent. Like, and it was
like a pick and mix of Irish accents.
Yeah,
I think that would be. I think if you were doing it on a real story, that would be a real hiccup. Like, consider this is weird. But the bad thing is now, they're like, see in the story, there's like multiple dwarfs, right? And they all sound the same. So like, the only thing is he's different names. So it's like, oh, the Kraken. Oh yeah, we're gonna have some some meat today and like drink. And then another dwarf goes, yeah, and I'm like, well, you've got no distinction except the name is changed.
What dwarf voice? You're like, who's talking?
You do feel
who's saying this?
You do feel that sometimes.
Is it Kraken, lacking or stacking?
That's what it's like as well.
Oh man, fantasy's
right.
I love how you're kind of like slagging it off, but you're onto the next one already.
I know.
Oh, it's terrible. I'm 6 books in.
And the long books.
The long books.
The long
10 hours.
Oh my god.
That was good. Is it else what colour before we move on to this topic?
Yeah. I have stuff.
Oh no, sorry. Last of Us. We're going to do that too. Sorry.
Speaking of Resident Evil, as we always are. What was it? I found some guy who's doing like recaps. I found another YouTuber. I don't know who the other guy was. Sorry, other guy. But it was unused monsters from Resident Evil, and it's like an hour-long video. I give the man a shout out if we can find it really quickly. But it was just like some of them were just like mutated lickers. Some of them were. There was one that was like. It nearly looked like a big eel or something. Like it nearly had like 3 legs. But its whole point was it could be like you could hide in the thing. So when you're playing the game, it just leads out. You wouldn't. I think from the way he was saying it, you wouldn't see it coming like in the game. It'd just be camouflaged somewhere beside you.
Speaking of that sort of thing, I think today or yesterday there was a thing revealed that there was a third-person mode for Resident Evil 7. Like the original plan was to do a third-person game, and like they started making it, and there's like gameplay footage of it. I think online. I've not seen it, but
so that was like
there's at least stills. I don't know if it's a video, if it's just stills, but they did start. a third-person style Resident Evil 7 before the pivoted.
You know. So I think I have Resident Evil 7 on my PC and my PS5, but I haven't played it at all. Of course, my whole plan was... That's way down the line, though. Like, I've got to get to... I might even get Resident Evil 4 when it comes out. Just, well, one because I'm broke, but one because I might just play the other games before I get to it. I don't know. I think I'd enjoy it. First time round, I think I'd enjoy it more by replaying the other games.
Have you not played Village? No.
That's 8.
No, but that's not... I don't know. No. That wouldn't bother me. I haven't done 7 or 8 yet, but I'll catch up on what I'm doing here. I want to get to replay everything else, play 4, the new 4, and then play 7 and 8. Sorry, the guy's name is Score PN, SCOREPN. So it's Resident Evil, Cancel Creatures, Collected Extended Cut, and it's like an hour-long video, and they're all just random kind of ones. And even just like, I guess one thing we kind of talked about before, how the virus breeds in the flowers, and that's where they got the T virus from, and that kind of stuff. But just kind of hearing, and I guess we'll get more to it when we talk about The Last of Us. But the different stages of the lore, it's just, I don't know, it's very interesting. Like even some of the hunter guys, they're like they're reptiles mixed with mammals kind of thing.
That's an interesting thing. Hunters aren't in the remake, are they? In Resident Evil 2. They're in the
Hunters
original.
aren't even they're not in Resident Evil 2 though, I don't think.
I don't know, is it the one when they're in the mansion?
They're in the mansion.
And
then, because I played them in something else. They're in they must have been in 3 because they're releasing the remake of 3, but I don't think I couldn't tell you how much they're in 3.
Seeing your replay, are you going to play 5 and 6? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
5 seems ridiculous. I heard 6 is shit.
I'd play 1, 2, and 3. And
I heard like 6 is like 3 different campaigns, and only one of them is a zombie one.
6,
I'd nearly give that a go. Just that. Is that Leon is doing that too?
Leon is. It's Leon, Chris Redfield.
Yeah, I get it for dirt cheap. Well, I've got like I still have. So I've one remake, 2, 3 original. One of the scenarios of 2 on the remake. 4 original, and then 4 remake to play, and then I'll probably do Code Veronica. And like it was the Outbreak one where you're like a group of people. Can you still play that in some form?
I don't know. It'll probably be on PC.
I thought it would have been like a co-op thing or something like. There's
you might get it.
Yeah, there's one that I think it was released in segments or something like. There was 3 parts to it, Outbreak or something. And I just found another thing. Then I found is videos recapping Resident Evil mangas. So apparently there's a recent enough one. Where it's set in a school in Singapore that's like really remote, so it's like I don't know, I guess All of Us Are Dead kind of vibes. But it's out now, and it's Resident Evil MARHAWA Desire, and then I don't know what the other word is, but there's like a lot of it out there, and it's like nearly 4.5 stars on Amazon Reads or whatever, a good it's moderately well reviewed. But I have seen some adaptations of the original games that like just watching recaps of them, they're like there's one where like Nemesis has to fight William Birkin, and like they just kind of it seems like they kind of treat it like a PlayStation game of a film where like they just add in extra things that didn't happen in the first place and that kind of stuff. It just seems fun. That was the main thing YouTube wise. I'm sure. Other than that, then kind of like just some comics. I'm doing a good bit of like. There's a comic by Chip Zdarsky, which is from. Oh, it was amazing. Oh fuck! 2 seconds. I'll just reach across to my tablet. Well, I've been still reading the Claremont run of X-Men, and I've just got to the point where Banshee saving all of Japan. There's a guy called Moses Magnum who has like energy powers, and he's going to like start an earthquake that's going to sink Japan. And Banshee, like I'd always seen the image, but Banshee uses his powers to kind of like cancel out his blast, and then loses his voice. So that was kind of my main reading. One of my main things for reading the Claremont run was to be like, I want to read up until Banshee leaves the X-Men because he's gone now for a while. One second, I just want to get this is a one-issue story that I saw someone commenting about, where it's like, "Oh, this is the essence of Spider-Man." And have you read much Chip Zdarsky?
I've read some Daredevil and some Spider-Man, Chip Zdarsky, and some
Have
Batman.
you-
He did some Batman too.
Have you read where he's drawn also?
Don't think so.
Because I think I was under the impression. I remember someone said, "Oh yeah, did he imagine he's sex criminals?"
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
So I think I heard someone go. I remember, like, I half remember hearing someone saying he was an artist and all, but like the Spider-Man looks good in it. But like, I was really shocked by some of the just people drawings. I'll try and get you a zoom up here. But I was just like, that's very fucking basic. And there's this guy I follow him on Instagram. I think he did a lot of the Exile stuff, and I love his fucking art. It's so. I don't know. I think he's changed a little bit. He's got a little bit crisper as he's gotten older. Maybe, coloring technology is different, or coloring styles are different. Steve McKeown, I think his name is. But wait to see his cover.
No, that's cool. I like that.
That's really nice. Like, that's beautiful. But then, just wait. Like, I don't mean to be shitting on him, because it is a good story. It's actually Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. I think I might have read some of this. But like, look at the guy in the bottom left. Like, Spider-Man up the top looks grand.
Yeah,
and it's kind of hard to see in this. Look at the guy up down here. Looks very amateur, doesn't it?
he looks better than John Romita Jr.'s human faces.
Yeah, the fuck out of it. But to me, it kind of looks like. I'm going to say, I'll just show you another character, another kid or whatever. It's a nice story. It's basically recounting different people. It's like a guy who's making a documentary and he's asking them all, like, what do you think of Spider-Man? And like every third or fourth person, it just shows why they're saying what they're saying. Like, they're just kind of small. But we need to see this other kid here. Look at that. That looks like very fucking very basic. Like,
it reminds me of DC's. It reminds me of Batman's art a bit. Like, there's certain stories,
really?
like I think Robin Year One, I'm pretty sure is drawing kind of that style.
It looks just for like, let's say like I doodle, but I'm not fucking. It's actually a really nice moment. Is Spidey. So this kid was kind of pushed into being a part of this robbery, and the cops come around, and Spidey webs them to the roof. And he just goes, "Oh, I don't know where he is." There's a few funny quips. Zdarsky, I know he's a very well respected writer, but like, there's one of the little, just like, it's a one panel thing where it's a little kid going like, "Yeah, I saw Spider-Man. He was fighting ninjas and he threw a spider stick at them," and the dad's just going, "It was Daredevil." I just thought it was really sweet. Yeah, it's it was just like, I'm always like, anytime someone can tell me like, read this one issue, it captures that character, and like again, my second thing of what I've been watching is to do with Spider-Man. It's a nice little just like pop in there. Yeah, but the Claremont era too, like a lot of really good stuff in that. There's some just very cool art and kind of little asides that, like, in one way, looking at it now and kind of knowing what he's like as a person, it's just Claremont being a bit of a goof, but they work for the character. Like, there was just a little kind of subplot going through Colossus for a couple issues where he's like, I'm useless to the team. I'm supposed to be this big, strong guy, and I keep getting knocked out and shit. Like, and it happens to him a couple of times. There was one just as a little, like, so that's a little nice little element of character that's going in around the background. But I just want to show you one image that some of it just gets so fucking metal that, like, especially, well, like, obviously, not just, maybe both these moments are going to include Colossus, but some points it's just, I'm fucking in love with what they're doing there. I'm trying to get my fucking photos. Sorry. Let's see. This is like, and this one particular, well, they're actually in, I meant to actually look that up. They kind of say where, I have it here. Cape Rat up in Scotland, RAWRATH, the North of Scotland, no?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of describe where Muir Island is in relation to Scotland. That wasn't what I was looking for. Like, the covers are just amazing. Like, it's just like chaos in Canada.
Hmm.
And it's like the Alpha Flight are hiding in an airport hangar waiting to attack the X-Men.
Chaos.
What am I trying to fucking find? Colossus cool moment. Okay, 2 seconds. And the covers are all great around here, like.
Yeah, Marvel does have a unique style. Like, it's a nice wee.
Oh, this. No, so this is going to be kind of hard to get across. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, so Colossus has been, I think, did he get knocked underground or something, and these two guys are trying to get away in a truck. So I'll try and do this as, these two laddies are trying to get away in a truck. This is terrible for the audio listeners. Trying to get away in a truck, and then, maybe even for the people watching.
That's the versatile image.
And Colossus just sticks his hands out of the ground, and then the truck just fucking upends itself, like. And like rips the axle out of it, like that's what I thought was amazing. That was like, oh my god, car flip, and like it's always in the films. But yeah, like it's cheesy in a lot of ways, but Jesus Christ, man, it's really worth reading. If you ever like, look, I like the X-Men. It's just it's a little bit dated that to me is kind of comfortable. It's like relaxed reading, but there's some really fucking nice moments, and I think it. Kind of like the way I watch the X-Men cartoon sometimes. There's like split seconds where like, oh, the animation's really cool there. I'm watching it just for that point. But with this, when you get to a point that's kind of cool and you kind of got past something that's silly, or there's always something that's funny too, that's just kind of goofy because it's like from the 70s. But when you get a moment that's really cool, I think there's something a little bit more rewarding about it, because this is, for all the hype and all the glory of the X-Men and everything, this is like 70s is with Claremont is where it fucking started. Like, it's where it became the X-Men. Like,
the X-Men.
So when you get it from, like, you're getting it from the root there, like you're getting it from the source. I think it's a very enjoyable read. Other than that, I'm not thinking of anything else that I've watched or read.
Chris, do you want to cover anything else before we move on to Last of Us?
No, I mean, the last thing I was kind of watching was, I don't know if you have seen it, but it's called Soft White Underbelly.
I haven't.
It's a horrible name, I know. It's a YouTube channel, and it's like a guy who's like a photographer, Mark. I can't remember his second name, but he like interviews like homeless people and drug addicts and like all
where
in Los Angeles. So
I think my house when I watched this, yeah.
It's like black and white photography, and they just kind of interview them.
Right.
And
I remember seeing the Inbred Family on it.
Yeah, like that's what caught my eye, and then I was like,
they look genuinely, they look like, see the art in Preacher. They look like the art from Preacher.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
But it's really good, because I think the kind of mission is, like, from his point of view, is to share their stories, so like,
yeah,
you would get the insight, so you don't go down that path. So I'm like, oh, thank God.
To be from an incest family.
Yeah, exactly. But it's got some really touching stories, man. It's like disturbing as hell.
What's the YouTube channel's name?
It's called Soft White Underbelly. It's
but it sounded familiar up until you said the black and white.
Just watch my because I can hear the audio. I don't want it to get us copyrighted.
No.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry. But like, he's even got like, he's like interviewing like mob bosses, like daughters and stuff like that. It's amazing. Like, you can just.
Okay, no, I don't know this at all.
How they grew up and all that stuff, and it's.
Oh Jesus! Inbred family.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing, some of it, but
interesting.
I would definitely give that. It's amazing. Like, I was watching him when he didn't really hit. I mean, that's kind of cliche when somebody says that now. Like, I watched him when he wasn't.
I watched it cool.
Yeah, I watched it when he was like wasn't known, and now he's got 4 million, which is great. But like, I remember watching it. It's just like sometimes it's kind of sad.
The Inbred Family, that's like a few years old, that video, right?
It's about
doing it for a while,
5 years or something. It's kind of sad because I use it as a way to like, I feel good about myself. which is probably a bad thing to look at it. You know, I'm like,
my life might be pretty messed up, but at least I'm not, at least I'm part of an inbred family.
Yeah.
Thanks, YouTube.
Or a drug dealer or anything like that, yeah. Or a pimp or anything like that. But
I was so morbid, Chris.
I know it's really bad, but like, it's definitely worth a watch. Also, you learn a lot of stuff. You learn a lot of like kind of like not tics, but like way people you actually act, and like, all right, okay, somebody's like really nervous here, so they're chittering all this. It's really good just to observe human behaviour. It's just, I sound like a predator here.
Why do you judge them? This is getting worse as it goes.
I know, it's terrible. It's
I'd like to hurt some of them,
very
maybe.
Patrick Bateman, actually.
I know.
I
It's
judge
really
the lower
weird.
life forms in their poor ways, their poor life choices. Like
What's the name of the band he's talking about in Psycho?
Huey Lewis
Huey
and the
Lewis.
News.
Yeah, you can definitely hear Chris or see Chris just
And his
dancing
Ranger.
around.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! Right,
Well,
but
that's like a gem.
Sometimes he's Mrs. Doubtfire, sometimes he's Patrick Bateman.
the best.
He's a
I'm
man.
the mix of the best. Yeah.
He's a man of many faces.
But I would definitely recommend Gear Watch when you're feeling low or something like that.
Okay.
Funny Housemate does that. Like, I can't watch stuff that he watches half-time. Like, he puts on these, like, really fucking mentally ill people sometimes. I'm like, why? Or just, like, anti-fucking woke protest. There's this infamous family now in fucking my hometown, or from around my hometown.
And Mayo.
Yeah, the guy was a teacher, and it was a certain type of school. I thought it was just like a secondary school, but one of the kids was, or students, whatever, was either trans or non-binary or whatever. And your man refused to name them by the name they wanted to be named by, or pronouns, whatever. He basically rejected it or whatever, but then he was kind of given a disciplinary of not going to the school. Then he just kept showing up. And then he got like fucking put in prison for it. Like, he just wouldn't stop showing up to the school. And then when he got out, he was just turning up outside the school every day. The guards had to escort him away from the school. Like, apparently he was getting fined like €700 every time he did it or something. I'm not even fully sure of that. But my housemate and just watch shit about them. Not in a, like, just kind of look at these fucking lunatics, like. Because they're all homeschooled, like. Bad enough that they're, like, Bible bashing Christians, like, but they're all homeschooled, so, like, they only had their parents around them when they were young. Of course, they're going to be the worst of the worst. Like, but how the fuck did I get there? Yeah, watching stuff that's not like, I don't know, pleasant to watch. Really, like, things that are maybe a bit distressing at times.
So last thing we all watched was The Last of Us. We're not spoken about that yet. There's actually been 2 episodes aired since we last spoke, because there was one for Monday and then one for Saturday for us. It was Sunday and Friday, but yeah. Although they were kind of like a twofer. Do you know what I mean? I feel like together makes more sense because they lived directly into each other and stuff.
It's like one story.
Yeah.
Same director that done both as well. So
okay.
I felt like that last episode there, the most recent one, is probably the best episode so far for me.
I was going to ask, is that
really?
Is everything acted out in that episode in the game? I felt like it was very quick, like action was very quick.
One of the reasons
it's a mixture of things.
Yeah, one of the reasons that
we do last week's first instead of starting with.
I mean, last week's didn't have much to it. It was mostly just Joe.
It was kind of set up. Last week's was mostly set up for this week's.
That was
Well, I think a lot. Well, not maybe a lot, but some people were kind of thinking like. Well, I'd heard different things. Dan, I think you were saying one way, and then I heard someone else saying a different way. That like, by this stage in the game, Joel or Ellie are either. They know each other better. They don't, and some other people then were saying, "Oh, they didn't know each other as well at the stage." It's like, I think it's because they're moving some stuff around.
Yeah.
That like so, I think it changed. Like so, with the after Bill, that's where there's a kind of a change, and the same kind of stuff happens, but it happens in different places. Is that right? We don't meet Henry and Sam in this area. We meet them somewhere else in the game, don't we?
So they have added a bit more to Henry and Sam's story. Like in the game, Henry and Sam, 2 brothers. The young boy is ill. They need pills to treat it, and the big brother.
Teenager in the game.
Yeah, he's a wee bit older. No, he's still Ellie.
But he's still like. I think they made a point saying that he's specifically younger than he is in the show.
Yes,
he's younger than
he's
in the game,
and
he's voiced by Miles Morales from the Spider-Man games. I think in
the game.
Yeah, the younger brother is
So in the game, like it's leukemia, and his big brother has to steal the treatment to save his son, to save his brother even, and this group he steals it from obviously are after them. Whereas in the show, they overcomplicate it to say that there was Melanie Linsky's character, her brother was this like wanted man, and he was like a head of like a resistance and stuff.
A Jesus type figure.
There was certain groups after him, so Henry gave up his location in order to get the drugs to save his wee brother, and then that's what led to his death, and now that's why she wants to kill Henry. So it's just, I don't mind it, but it just adds a wee extra layer of kind of like complication. It's not as straightforward as just he stole this stuff, people are after him. There's a bit more to it.
Yeah. Well, I think as they were saying, so like a really great one after any episode now I'd highly recommend is the HBO podcast of it, because it's Druckmann and it's fucking
Troy Baker.
Troy Baker. And I think from when it's kind of hard to tell because there's a couple of different voices going on. I don't really know any of their voices, so I'm pretty sure like two of the regular guests seem to be Druckmann, and then isn't there another kind of showrunner? Druckmann's a producer, but it's a different showrunner, isn't it?
No, showrunners are Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, the guy we're talking about.
And he's the Chernobyl guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a Chernobyl guy.
Okay,
so two of them.
The two of them, to be honest. Let me even see them.
Had two creators. The game had Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann, but then Straley officially Straley was stressed after it and took a break from gaming, but then he never came back for part 2, and then that's why Druckmann was able to do whatever he liked, and a lot of people didn't like what he did with it.
Okay.
The original creator has spoken out since and been like, why is my name not on this project when I came up with these characters and I helped the original game become what it was, and yet he's not credited anywhere. So yeah, interesting.
Do you think that's maybe that he might have been the powerhouse, and then because number 2 was kind of
I don't know. I just think that I don't like what I've heard about Neil Druckmann. I don't like the fact that he allegedly almost kind of elbowed Amy Hennig out of Uncharted and out of Naughty Dog, and then he's also sort of elbowed this guy Bruce Straley out of The Last of Us. I don't know. I don't get good vibes from him, to be honest. And he seems very false. He seems like he preaches the stuff that he doesn't really practice. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just still hurt by what he done in the second game. Maybe you could blame it on that, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know.
You do hold a grudge.
I do. See, that's like I don't. I'm not a guy that holds a grudge, but with this prick, yeah.
Maya.
Both showrunners Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann unpacked. Yeah, so it was the two of them that was on the most recent episode. Well, even just saying from last week. So we kind of got which I guess I thought was going to be like some of the bigger action pieces from the game kind of technically happened in the last 2 episodes.
Really?
Like the midpoint. Okay. Yeah, so the bit where someone's trying to wave them down to fucking, and he's like, oh, why aren't you helping him? He's like, oh, he doesn't need help, or blah, blah. That's a whole, like, it's kind of similar, you crash into a building, but like you crash into like a shopping centre, and there's about 20 of them you have to kill there. And
it's very similar, but yeah.
That particular bit is quite similar, but in this obviously is 2 people. One thing I noticed, and it was only from watching like breakdown videos and people talking about it afterwards, in the last episode, so Joel, they get to talking even before they get into the city, and Joel is saying, "It's people, you have to worry about people," essentially, like, and when they're going to sleep and they're doing their camp for the night, I didn't see it until someone else, one of the breakdowns or one of the people analysing said it. Joel regrets, he feels like he's scared her there and he feels bad about it. Mm-hmm. So when she asked that question, he's like, oh, no one's going to blah, blah. I seen it happen at the time. I wasn't on my phone or anything, like I was concentrating, but I didn't kind of get the significance of it. After that, then, he didn't sleep. He stayed up all night keeping watch because he kind of felt bad that he scared her. And then they're driving for, like, the way someone worked it out, like, oh, well, look, it's bright here when they get here, so it could be afternoon, so he probably drove for about blah, blah, blah. Saying he drove then for, like, 12 hours. Then he's in a small car crash.
Yeah.
Then he shoots one high, because, like, the guy who kind of is choking him out nearly, he's, like, fucking 18. And at first I was like, he's a bit small. But I'm like, okay, yeah, but, like, actually something like that happened in the Lost, too, when... Do you remember the guy eating? Did you watch Lost?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when they were like, oh, this guy wasn't on the plane, and then at first it kind of seemed like he could have been supernaturally strong because of how, like...
Yeah.
he dragged the fucking Hobbit guy and the Australian girl, and then he bet the shit. Jack found him, and he bet the shit out of Jack. But Jack had been running around the jungle for like 2 days with no sleep, trying to find him. So kind of like there was that element of, I can understand it then after that. So I think it's always handy to look at stuff afterwards that breaks it down. And so then they get in there. Ellie first has to use the gun. And it's kind of fucked up because she's like, your man's like, I can't feel my legs.
There's a moment like that takes place in the game, but it does take place a bit later. Joel's climbing up a ladder and he gets attacked, and Ellie has to kill a guy, first guy she shoots. It's the same scene, but it happens later on in the game.
But but that happens in the hotel, doesn't it? Where
yes, I believe so.
You do get a big thing with. Is that the first time you'd meet a bloater in the game?
No, you meet a bloater before Bill in the game. The bit in the school gym before you bump into
Bill. Yeah. Oh, because I think there is another place, like that was a part where I ended up getting really stuck on it, was you have to turn on the generator in the hotel. And and then like a load of them come out of the ground. So that's where I was kind of thinking that's a little bit of what all the infection was this episode. That was kind of what that was.
Yeah. The thing about being underground is pretty fresh idea for the show, but I like it. I like the idea that there is places where they haven't killed all the infected, but they've managed to just put them somewhere.
Store them, yeah.
Like, that's reasonable because it takes a lot of ammo and they're fast and might be easier and safer just to put them somewhere.
Lead them down there, kind of thing. I was always thinking, how did they do that? Did they get someone to fucking run down there and
debate?
What?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Like maybe they got out of it or whatever.
It's one of those things. It's scary how when you think in like zombie films or anything like that, you're like, oh, you can kill them pretty easily. This is a lot of like the same amount of zombies, and they're not like one bullet sponges. They're
no.
They are. The shell kind of is like armor in the sense, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with it.
Yeah.
So it's
that's
like
why clickers take a good few headshots. Like
and it's like, and they're not fucking just standing still.
They're awful fast. It's crazy.
And then when you're overwhelmed by a bunch of them,
I think I mentioned them before. The new Rockstars guy. Sometimes they make kind of like silly leaps. But like, no, genuinely, like, your man actually got like very emotional during the like. And at first, I was like, "Is he putting this on for a joke?" Because like, actually, no, for playing, they just didn't really
talk about that.
You can hear it in his voice, but at the end of the most recent episode, he was sound like he was close to tears, and they just didn't see the need to comment on it, or it was just like, yeah, fair enough. And I do that Eric Voss guy. I've really come to like him, but sometimes they do still make like silly kind of There was something about I think he said he seems to be at least gotten to a stage now where he is usually I kind of really felt, because who was the other guy? Screen Rant or something, is it? Who's the guy I was like, I used to think was really smarmy?
Ryan Airy, Scream. No,
yes. Scream.
I know who you mean. No,
Ryan
the guy is a dog in his videos.
Yeah.
He was just like, everything was like, oh, this is like this is a mirror. The mirror is the person reflected. And like the guy Eric Voss in the most recent one was kind of saying, I think he was talking about last week's episode where Ellie's in the mirror and the gun, but he kind of said like, look, I'm not going to try and compare everything to a mirror and say it has loads of significance, because he does mention like, it's more about Ellie looking at herself there as opposed to the mirror. And like she was acting up. That's actually an interesting element of that, is she's been all fucking taxi driver in the mirror at the start of the episode, and then she actually has to shoot the gun. You're like, well, that's not really that cool at all. Like, but the Eric Voss guy was like he said something about there's certain fungus that they shoot out of a thing, and it shoots really quick. So he's kind of saying like, in this level, when they come out and they burst out of the ground, that speed that they have. Well, like, it's not I guess in some ways it's not the silliest thing, because if you think of a fungus that's trying to spread itself, moving fast is the thing that it evolves to do. Yeah. And like, that's what these things are able to do now. They're just like kind of fucking trying to think is just cover last week's fully. I guess the main point of last week's was Ellie and Joel bonding, and
they did need that. Book. They haven't really had that proper moment together, so it was needed.
Do you know one thing I don't understand is why did Joe not pick some of those weapons out of the car that he had? He just kind of dropped them. Did he not pick another weapon? Like, because like he just came out with the rifle, and then he dropped that. and he's just got the Magnum now. And when he crashes a car, did he not have
like
thing in the back of that thing?
Yeah.
No.
I guess I had to take a little bit. Yeah, like there's no there was the thing with him throwing away the machine gun, but surely all the guns in Bill's house are fucking ammoed up to the nines. Like he should be going New Game Plus about now. Like really, like just 10 fucking machine guns on his back, like. But definitely, yeah. Like I think but only because they showed us how many guns are at Bill's. That's one thing where I'm like, I didn't think of it till just now, but I'm like, he shouldn't have gun issues unless he had a bag of guns and they were chased away from the car, didn't have time to get it or whatever. Like, but they could have used that a bit. I don't know. That's the first time I personally that I'm like, that is a bit stupid.
Are you seeing I'm seeing? I don't know if it's deliberate, but I'm seeing where Joel is getting a bit tired. I don't know if it is he's Joel in the series. It seems like he's slower now. Like he can't hear it. His left ear. You're figuring out.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing at the end of last week's. Like they snuck up with it. Oh, I'll hear them. But then think prior to that, Ellie had to save him with the gun. Wasn't there something else before that?
Does Tess not have to at some point?
Tess, aye.
I thought there was something else where Ellie kind of basically had to. Oh no! I think it was just those two things. So he was going on about, oh, I made you have to do that, but then because of again, I guess it's to show him as being human. Like he did. That's kind of the point. He did stay up for as I was saying. That's what the pod or whatever I was listening to was the point of them saying that was he had stayed up for fucking God knows how many hours, drove for how many hours, and then literally was nearly choked to death, and he just was wrecked.
It's a weird, it's one of those things where you realise that, when you think of a character like him, you're thinking, oh, he'll be fine. But now I'm seeing that, oh shit, there's actually things that he could miss, or there's,
he's not infallible.
Granted, I think they're going to survive probably to the end. I don't know, but you kind of see that in the way Joel is. He's not
perfect.
He's going to be able to kill everything. All that.
He's not God of War
He's no Batman. It might be. You never know. James Gunn might hire him. No. But it's interesting.
Yeah. So that, and then we saw. Did we see? So kind of around them getting away from, because more guys show up and they have to kind of leg it through all the buildings and stuff. And then we get to meet who is one of my favorite actresses. I think I mentioned her before, a week or two ago. Kathleen, no, that's not her. That's the character's name. Melanie Linsky.
Yeah. Is that the boss? Is that the Is that the cat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she, the way I might have mentioned it, she's. Anytime I've seen her in anything, I guess I wouldn't really count 2.5 Men because whatever, that was just shy. But
oh my god, that's what she was.
She's the neighbor, yeah.
Oh my god.
But anything I've seen her in loads of dramedies, and she always brings this kind of such naturalism to her performances, and a sensitivity. She just kind of just seems like one of those nice people you'd know.
Yeah.
Just kind of give it a better.
This is
but at the same time, I still think she brought that kind of sensitivity. Some people, I've heard people saying I was commenting somewhere she still felt very motherly in a way, but like a bitch of a mother. But someone was saying it's like if a kindergarten teacher was in charge of a militia.
Yeah.
She's a bitch, and obviously people are making the kind of Karen analogy or whatever. Not that it's really an analogy, but I felt she still brought the same kind of sensitivity that she normally brings to her roles and relatability, but there's just, this is the world she's living in now, and I think it was kind of interesting. The guy who played Tommy's brother, or played Tommy in the game, who's I don't know, is he Peter or something? Yeah, the head of. He looks like, some people were saying maybe he was former Fedra or something but he, at first I think, is he going to try and he seems to be trying to question her a bit, but then you see by this week's episode he's full faith in her, and they even kind of leave that up that he's going to try and say, oh, your brother would have wanted this, and he's like, yeah, your brother was great, but he didn't change things.
Is that the brother that was in the cell that she shot?
No. So her brought the Henry? No, Sam. Who's the older one? Henry ratted out Kathleen's brother, who was the leader of the rebel group, so he could get medicine, the leukemia medicine for Sam, his younger brother. I don't remember the cancer aspect to it in the original game.
They may have added that.
There was something near to that, and then I watched a YouTube video about it, and apparently it is in the game.
Yeah. So much come up in the show that I don't remember. I only played the game I played the game to get, so I'd have it fresh in my. I don't know. I don't remember certain bits. Yeah. So that's, and then obviously we just saw the one of the foundations of one of the buildings being all cracked and something just moving, and then Kathleen was like, "Oh, say nothing." And
I know.
Like, I guess from the promos, the original trailer, we knew that the bloater came out of the ground, so I thought it was going to be there, which definitely just definitively wasn't there. Like, it was really a couple of blocks away from there. I think from the way he was plotting out the map, it looked like they only had like maybe 4 blocks.
I to get through. Yeah.
Well, no, there was the highways, but I think there was only like it looked like there was only like 4 blocks. It was 4 blocks, and they had to cross at a section to get to the other side, to get away from their patrol and shit. So like, I don't know why I'm saying that. Why am I saying that? Oh, sorry, because the bit they actually get out to when they escape is a bit away from there. So like a little bit of me was like, oh, it's very handy that like all the infections are ready to be there in 2 seconds. Like, I guess it could be following the noise of them.
The second episode was more interesting, I think. The second episode introduced elements like just like kind of what they done with Bill and Frank. They gave Sam and Henry more, chemistry with the relationship. The idea like Henry not only protecting Sam physically, but having to like make sure he's not scared and make sure he's the boy. Also, they changed the fact that he's deaf in this, which wasn't in the game. So that as an extra, like you can say it's a disadvantage because Sam can't hear things, but it's an advantage when it comes to the clickers because they're able to stay quiet. They don't need to speak. They can do their hand movements and their sign language, and they can communicate. So positives and negatives, I guess. But interesting though as well how Henry says that the closest he's ever came to hurting anyone was when he pointed that empty gun at Joel. It kind of makes you wonder how they survived this long. Like, is it just because they were in a group and now they're just on their own, so he's never really had to?
Well, it seems to be. So he was working with Fedra. Like, I don't know, was it just when it seemed like maybe he had been working with Kathleen's brother, but was it just the one time he went to Fedra? But I guess that was kind of like the place where does Joel start off? Is it Chicago?
The game starts in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Boston.
Hey, what's the guy?
I also really liked how, I mean, we're just going full spoilers. The way that it signified the death of Ellie's childhood, they went a bit harder on that than they did in the game. Like, they had that moment where Sam and Ellie are playing together. They've got it both in the game and in the show. And for a minute, they're just getting to be kids. Like, getting to just play with toys and be kids together. And then shit goes down. They have to move, blah, blah. Spoilers, Sam dies. The fact that they actually showed Ellie burying Sam kind of almost a heavier metaphor for her burying her childhood. Like, that's how I took that. That was a death of her childhood at that moment. Whereas in the game, they sort of imply that she becomes a bit more, she's harsh, less kind of jokey after that and a bit more serious. Like when you get to Tommy's Dam, which I think is where we're going next, she's way more somber than she is. Do you know what I mean? Like Sam and Henry, that event changed to her. And I think in the show, they probably showed it a bit more at the time, whereas in the game it shows you just kind of a couple of months later when they're getting near Tommy's Dam, Joel's asking her like, "You okay? What's up?" And he's kind of making the wee jokes. He's kind of be like, "Oh, look at that, the way that clicker's lying," like, and she's like, "Oh yeah, good one." And it's just she's just more in herself, a bit more introverted and less childlike.
Yeah.
So is that from last week's? I think we were talking and they're saying there's more there's more depressing stuff to come down the road. Was this the one you were thinking of, or
this is the one I was talking about?
This is this was like I kind of didn't even think of it as much, but as soon as the episode started this week, I was heartbroken.
You knew something was coming.
And the more I was getting to know them, I was nearly rejecting it because like this is going to be so painful.
Yeah, because you know it's coming. Like I think every wee nice moment you seen, you were like, oh, and then you were like, oh wait, I know.
Some of Henry's kind of smiling
when
you hear Sam laughing and stuff. That broke me.
And then they also teased like people that played the game's emotions even more because they changed Bill and Frank. Bill and Frank's story was different. So you're watching Sam and Henry, and like I don't think in the game Joe ever explicitly says, "Come to my brother's dam with me." Like we're going to my brother, come with us, and that. I don't think that's ever offered in the game. Whereas here, when Joe said that, you're starting to wonder: are they going to live? Are they going to get to go to the dam with Joe? And then the same thing happens. It plays out.
Yeah. There's an interesting thing about the game. There's in the game that was missing here, I guess because they didn't really have time to do it. There is a moment where, and maybe I think they might try to kind of like just give a nod to it. You know, when they're bunkered down from the sniper.
Yeah.
And actually, first of all, that was the first time I like fully knew something was from the game because I think I was stuck in that position for a while. That the house the sniper's in is exactly in the game.
Really well used, and Joe running from car to car to get to him.
Yeah,
same as the game.
Class. But Henry kind of nearly runs away with Sam just there, but then the sniper shoots again, so he runs back. Yeah. But in the game, there's a bit where you're kind of reliant on Henry, and he just leaves you there, like. And then you don't see. Is it that you just bump into the two of them again, and then?
I think so.
Yeah. So I didn't remember how it played out. I don't think fully.
I think you just get split up. He kind of leaves you, and then you're like, "Oh shit, I'm on mode. You need to help Ellie get out of wherever you are." And then I think later on, like you just enter a building and they're already in there, and you're like, "What the hell?" Do you know what I mean?
Hey, Henry.
But it also shows like it's like if you're talking about the sniper element, like see when it showed a little nice bit about Joe when he was going in, he was like, "Don't just put it down."
Yeah, he didn't want to kill that old man. He was I don't know it should happen.
I don't know if this is in the official podcast or just one of the breakdowns I was listening to, but it was just interesting that like they seemed to add an element, and maybe it was Druckmann and the other fella. They added like the thought that the old fella was trying to commit suicide.
All right.
That like he wanted to, he made that decision to die there, like, which I didn't like. That was a whole extra thing that I was just like, oh shit, yeah, actually that adds a lot to it, like.
Yeah, like what did you think was going to happen? Like, obviously he was going to get shot. Yeah.
Yeah, like, so I guess maybe it's an element of. Well, I guess we didn't know it at the time that he was working for Kathleen, but he's like, she'll probably kill me if I don't do this.
Yeah.
That's kind of and the way she kind of ordered the deaths of those people was like it was. I think a little bit of me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully took in the revenge thing. Like a little bit of, even though as much as I love her and stuff, I was a little bit like, does that seem a bit too much? But like, I don't know. I work in customer service, so like, yeah,
that happens. Revenge is a thing.
People are like that. They get so angry they lose all sense. Like,
was it as simple as that in the game? Like, was it longer drawn out with Kathleen? Because I
felt
no
Kathleen in the game.
She's a new character.
All that side of it is the guys were saying they like. It's so funny because I think it was Neil Druckmann or the other writer guy were on about NPCs and they just kind of got them wrong. They were like, "Oh, I know it from D&D." I was like, "Is it not?" I don't think that's what it is. And they're kind of, their definition of NPC was like it's non-playable character. Like that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they were saying like, I think it's when it's someone who you don't know that well, or I don't know. Like they just their definition of it was weird. But yeah, like they're just at that point. How is that just the thing? So from the game, Henry's stolen the drugs from them, and they're chasing you for whatever reason, probably because they just killed one of them or something.
Yeah, very much.
It's probably similar enough. But that's army guys. It's Fedra's chasing at that point. Or is it no?
So see when the car crash happens, that's got nothing to do with the people that Sam and Henry took the drugs from. Like,
the
car
kind of
crash in the
Russians and
game
stuff
are just
together.
random raiders that you get in a fight with, and then you meet Henry and Sam, and then they're also on the run from another group who he stole the drugs from. So it's not connected. Whereas in here, it's all Kathleen's group.
And are they kind of like a militia in the game too, or is it a Fedra or what?
Honestly, I don't remember. I think it was just kind of. I think it's just kind of a group of like survivors. Like I think they just got lucky with. I don't know.
They seemed like, I don't know, but humanity seems fucking awful. Like every kind of apocalyptic world or whatever, I might fuck that word up. But there's always people like this that are just crazy. They'll just kill anybody. They're horrible humans. There's always going to be that, and it's really give you no faith. And like, if this does happen, we're all but on our own. Like when they said they've done this for 20 years. They've been pillaging, killing people randomly, just anything. It's like, all right.
I just think, I don't know, man. I think you look at human history when we were in bad times, and it's not that far away from the stuff you read in history books. Do you know what I mean? The way that people act and the way that people used to act when.
Read a comment section anywhere about anything. People are horrible. Give them any chance to voice their fucking opinions. Like when I always loved, like we had a thing. There was like a march there for like welcoming refugees to Castlebar or whatever, there's a lot of them going on. But there's a guy, he used to be like a really big part of our friend group. Like we'd be literally, like he was one of my best friends. But he just went fucking daft. Like he was a part of the Occupy group in Galway. So Galway has a park called Ear Square. It's in kind of the centre. Galway had the longest running Occupy group in the world. Because Galway is full of fucking hippies and people were just living in the centre of the town for a year. It's fucking insane. But this guy, then he started he was always like super outside the box and weird and whatever. But like as time went on, he's like, this guy's just fucking crazy. But he ended up getting like really into the vote no on abortion and stuff, like making really graphic posters. He just like, and he was never into this stuff before, like, and he was then just like kind of aligning himself with really kind of right wing fuckers. But there's another fellow then from our hometown who does kind of similar. And how the fuck did I get talking about this? Anti-refugees. Okay, so yeah, the guy I used to be mates with is like, there was a protest, or there's town people meeting to do it, and they were like doing an anti-protest, and like I could see the fellow I used to be mates with like videoing and stuff, and they'd be going on about refugees coming over here, being on the dole and stuff. The lad hasn't had a job in literally over 15 years. Like he's been on the dole.
Jesus.
Wow.
That's like no sense of their own fucking thing. But that's just people. Like it's a small minority. Like it's a vocal minority, and most people at home think they're gobshites anyway. Like, but you do see like a lot of people I would have been childhood friends with. A lot of that kind of comments, like, "Oh, fucking come over there taking jobs," and like again, the person is writing this from Australia. Like it's just like. Or even like going through the comment section, you click on someone's page, going on about, coming into Ireland, blah blah blah, and it's like lives in London. Fucking Egypt. But yeah, there's always going to be gobshites, and I guess in a situation like that where things just go insane, I don't know. I guess we had our chance and we didn't go full apocalyptic, so no more pandemics for us. I don't know.
The highlight though of the episode for me was the set piece. Yeah, the set piece where they all come out the ground. But the car. First of all, that shot that Joe makes, that shot through the windscreen when Ellie's just about to get hit, and then the thing goes out of the house, catches on fire, falls into the ground, and then Melanie Linsky's going to shoot Henry like she's got.
I thought she was going to shoot. I thought like, oh fuck.
I forgot how he actually died in it. So I thought that could have been his death, like.
And then you're like, how's he going to get out of this?
That cul-de-sac, and it's weird. The guys kept referring to it. I just love that cul-de-sac in that road, like, because I think so. In the game, you actually hop over a wall to get to the start of that, but in this. Where the road goes back out, where all the trucks come in, that's just like a wall. So
it's
like
scaffolding, right? It's like I remember being in
the shelf. It's like a housing estate kind of thing. Like if you're, it's a cul-de-sac, so it just ends. Yeah. But like, I think you come in from other houses, the back of some other houses, you climb down a wall. Because the game is like that. It's just all mini maps kind of thing. Well, it's a continuous. I guess that was the game that for the first time in ages I was like, it's actually mad that you're passing all this intricate stuff and you just never see it again. I guess getting a scope in my brain again of what like linear games are like, as opposed to open world games where I mostly play.
Linear for that.
They built all of that thing, so it was just a lot, and they just filled it completely and built it. And, so very interesting. Again, basically, we could just like text you a fucking transcript of that HBO podcast. But so there's a couple of things.
One thing I was going to raise first.
Yeah.
Did any of you realise the amount of fucking ammo that Joe had in that sniper? I could not see any fucking ammo in that old guy's pocket. He had like maybe 3 bullets in his pocket.
Were you in his pocket?
You want a pocket shot?
Switch to pocket shot.
I was looking
pocket
for
cam.
like box of ammo or something. Nothing. I was raging. I paused the screen, skipped it a couple of seconds, and he just picked up.
Oh, really?
Looked at it and was like, oh, fucking yes.
You could just have ammo there. Yeah, you could just have ammo.
Well, he did have a bag, so you can say it's just a bag full of ammo.
Well, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, it seems like if he's up there as a sniper...
He just bought lots of bullets. There you go.
Yeah.
He just filled his bag with bullets. I mean, that'll do. I'm just...
yeah. Or they just play it like PlayStation game rules. No matter what ammo they're holding, you get ammo for whatever. But Last of Us was weird. You like kill a dude with a fucking AK, you wouldn't get any ammo off him. Like,
yeah, that's good.
Not everyone dropped ammo. Like, it was just that was annoying to be honest. But what was it? Fucking. But it's not realistic, because if he has an AK, he should have an AK when you fucking kill him. It's realistic that the gun just disappears when he dies. I don't think so.
You just a shitty pistol or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah. When people die, their stuff disappears. That's what always.
That's what happens. Dissolves.
And you just kind of propagate this out. You just secretly stealing from your family members when they die. Like, that's what happens.
That's what happens.
Pocket cam.
It's like the opposite of fucking Santa. You make up a lie so you can see it. That's kind of weird. So they built that place. Where were the two big CGI people? IGM and something Light Studios or something, isn't it? What are they called? They're always ILM, and there's another one. I think the two. Yeah, exactly it. Yeah, the two of them worked on this, did different things.
Right.
I'm 99% sure it's from ILM or ILM that one of the main guys, apparently, like CGI artists are fucking. There's way too much demand for them now. It's contestly hard to get them and pay them, whatever. One of their main guys in the CGI for the show or whatever used to work at ILM and left because he's such a big Last of Us fan to work on the show.
Right.
I just thought that was pretty cool.
Fuck.
The
commitment.
bloater was practical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a suit.
Was it? That was gorgeous.
The suit was designed, and it was a big stuntman that wore it, a big bodybuilder stuntman that wore it. And it was designed by this makeup artist, yeah.
Oh,
and they broke it down in the HBO podcast about the. Now maybe it's the exact same in the game, but the.
Oh, it looks like a horrible Veruca, man. It's just.
I know, it's like a walking warp, right?
Oh,
but what the fuck was I saying?
You're talking about the.
Yeah, so a bloater. So runner is recently infected. Then, like what, a couple of years or a couple of months, you're a clicker. And then they just like talk through. It's like it said, it cracks open your skull when it grows out through your brain. That's just the way they worded that. Which, like, yes, I know it's true, but I didn't think of it that way because it's slowly over time. That's exactly what it does. It cracks your skull when it grows out through it. Like your eyes just become like, I don't know, eaten up by the fucking fungus or whatever. So if you're just your average person, when they get after the clicker stage, that's when they kind of grow into the wall, and then that's it. Their life cycle is done. But to become a bloater, you have to be kind of like big enough and strong enough to be able to get past this certain phase. Yeah. And that's when you go on then to become a bloater. So that's why. And then in two, there's different types, isn't there? There's like an alternative type of bloater, isn't there?
I think in the second game there is. Yeah, I want to see that.
I'm pretty sure I've seen
like
like
a
pictures
water
of
boat
humans.
or so. I don't know. I can't remember.
I saw one. I saw like they seem to have added in a couple, and then even I'm pretty sure I saw a video of someone. Now maybe it's in the remake of Last of Us, one, but that there's some called a stalker, which looks like it kind of like it looks mostly like it's mostly just a normal person, but it like has one line of fungus kind of running up through his head or something like a mohawk. Not really, but kind of. So I think there was a couple of maybe other types that were maybe added back into the remake, but I don't remember. I thought it was just
the remake wasn't changed that much. I'm pretty sure the monsters are all the same for the original.
Okay, so maybe. But I think it maybe specifically too adds an alteration to the bloater. It's like just it's a different layout of fungus on it and stuff. But then the kill, so it kills Tommy or Peter, whatever the fuck his name is in this. But apparently they were talking about it and they were saying originally they wanted him to like rip him in half, like from the waist.
Right.
So they weren't originally planning to put the death video or the whatever
from the game, the animation.
Normally, yeah, if the thing gets you, it will rip your jaw off.
He puts his hands on his mouth and pulls the mouth apart. Yeah.
Yeah. So they ended up doing that, but that wasn't their original thought. They wanted to like rip. Cause I think the animators were like, yeah, it's really hard to CGI a body ripping in half because it doesn't really happen like that. So they just like, oh well, what's more anatomically correct, and it was to do it. So that's how. It's just interesting that it wasn't their first choice to recreate the death scene from the game. Yeah. And last note then I have is the little clicker girl is a trained gymnast, contortionist.
Contortionist, yeah.
Yeah, that's all the audition for. So they even just, especially in the thing, they hear how they go for auditioning. So like even with Sam, they were going for like a kid because there's American Sign Language, but there's also African American Sign Language, I think, which I didn't know was a thing. But they had to find a kid who'd done stuff like that, and then they were saying like he'd only done like one thing before this, but they were like on the podcast, they're like, look, if you're listening to this, don't just think this kid's a good actor and blah blah blah. Find something for him, like he's really fucking good, which was just nice. That's all my.
Okay, so with all that said, shall we move into the topic?
The topic.
We are going to just give a quick rundown, I feel like, of the best video games based on comic books or comic book characters or any of that stuff. Because I feel like we were saying before, have we done this topic already? Because we've touched on a lot of this stuff, like obviously Spider-Man. I think we talk about that game every week. And there's also games that we've mentioned and everything else. But there's a few I think that are worth highlighting that aren't the most obvious. That's the ones I'm thinking of. But if you guys want to kick it off, maybe some of your favourites, some of your least favourites, some ones from your childhood, like.
Well,
Chris, what's your favourite video game based on a comic? You're going to say the Arkham games, right?
I'm going to say the Arkham games. Yeah, I would say the Arkham games definitely.
It's hard not to. I mean, especially those first two games, are incredible. Like
I love the three of them. I do love three of them. However, okay. I do think they were the kind of the. It's good that they're still the standard of any kind of action game. Like people always refer to them as like, all right, okay, the flow was so much better, the way it interacted and things like that. And you can see like the combat, like you can see.
Arkham combat, like it inspired a lot of clones and stuff, and
like some of the movement isn't the greatest. Like because I replayed them fairly recently, just before it was the last game I played on my PS4 before I moved to my PS5, so not that long ago. And I remember thinking like the movement. Obviously, games like Spider-Man do movement way better than they did in the Batman games. Just zipping around and just walking around, and stuff like that. But I just feel like Arkham's combat is something in a game of that type, a superhero game, a British studio, Rocksteady are British, but a superhero game to have combat that good. Like the best part about the Arkham game isn't even the fact it's a Batman game, it's the fact that the combat's solid. Do you know what I mean? Like that's impressive.
It's not see when you're walking around Arkham in the first game, it is quite clunky. But see, like just navigating the place. But see when you're actually in the battles and stuff, it's really flows amazing.
As soon as you're fighting enemies, it feels incredible. Yeah,
you feel like you're actually powerful. But like there's one of those things as well that I've just googled this, so that's why I'm reading this one. But there's another game that I think is one of the best Marvel games. That I think it was on PS2. I think.
Okay.
Have you ever played X-Men Origins Wolverine?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Loved it.
I never really played any other. Instead of like maybe X-Men, it was like Mortal Kombat X-Men on like PS1 where you could pick Wolverine and like stuff and fight each other. But
Oh yeah, the X-Men Next Dimension and shit. I think.
I think my
Children of the Atom.
that was the first time I played a character like Wolverine, and it was just brutality. like I was like, oh, this is what he should be doing, rip people apart.
Yeah. And it was even because, like, I think at the time the film was so shit that like everyone was like, the game's actually really good, and it's got Hugh Jackman being like vicious Wolverine in it and stuff. And
it was the
first war clone.
It was the first time we've seen. I mean, if Wolverine was a real character in real life, and he was this guy walking around with 16-inch claws coming out of his knuckles, it would be violent. Like it would be, super gory and bloody, and. We had never some of the comics kind of go a bit more that direction than others, but we never got like a Punisher Max, Wolverine type, that violent. But this is the first time I feel like I really seen it. We've seen it in Logan eventually, but this game is the first time I remember really seeing. Okay, the game was a bit silly. It was about you jumping onto the side of helicopters and pulling guys out and putting their heads through the helicopter blades and stuff. Like there was silly moments, but in terms of like how brutal and horrible it would be to be in a fight with this guy, I feel like this game's one of the first examples that I've seen of putting it across in motion. Maybe in comics, panels and whatever, but seeing it in motion, I think this is the first time it's really hit home, and it was like, oh my god, this would be.
I don't think I ever actually clocked it. I think I only played bits and bobs.
Oh, you should, because I
also loved another big thing for me was the real time healing factor. Like, see the fact that while you were fighting, you saw chunks of stomach getting ripped away, and you see skeleton, and then over time you would see it all growing back, and then eventually the skin would grow over it, and then that would be your health back. Like,
and the shirt.
And the shirt, yeah.
And the shirt, yeah, that's questionable.
Yeah,
that's questionable. It was always the tank top. It would just kind of, you would get wee holes, and you look at it, and you go, oh.
I just even remember, like, it's a very simple thing, but was it like in between missions you could unlock the suits, but you'd have to unlock them by fighting that Wolverine? So you could be like classic Wolverine fighting brown and tan Wolverine. He'd just be like blood everywhere, and you're both re-healing and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I guess maybe at the time there wasn't 10 other Wolverines.
I remember the Sentinel boss fight as well. I remember fighting the Sentinel.
I've seen like loads of playthroughs of it and stuff. Like,
because it wasn't
sections of it that are fun. And...
I don't think it was based at all in the film. It might have had
very loosely.
It was. It's adding in extra bosses and changing stuff.
Yeah, the Gambit bit's still in there.
Speaking of Wolverine, did you ever play the old Wolverine game? It was from PS2 again, but it was Mark Hamill.
Yes, that was great.
That was. I did not get out of the first mission for about 8 years.
I remember having like
there was no save points or something, wasn't it? I played it back in the day, but there was no. If you died, you'd start the mission. No matter how far you were, you could be at the end of the mission. If you died, you'd start the whole thing again.
I
remember like a lot of stealth sections in it as well. Like, which isn't
use your healing sense and stuff, and you'd see like the
footprints and stuff.
Sense of their body. Yeah. I remember being cool. Like it was a lot of bosses and stuff in it. A lot of cool. Like I guess any Wolverine game where you fight Magneto is always a bit silly, but. Like you fought the Wendigo, you fought Juggernaut. Again, Juggernaut, like what is Wolverine going to do to Juggernaut? Fucking and he always used to fight him in the comics, but like, how was that ever just Juggernaut just like slapping him out of it, like little man, like
the bloater in the Last of Us, just slapping guys out of the way.
Yeah. I guess so coming along in my as always X-Men Legends.
Legends.
Yeah, they're just great crack. They're very simple, 2 buttons. I guess what's the isometric view or whatever. Some people might be a bit bored.
Strategy kind of thing.
It's just fun. Like you amp up Wolverine's healing factor on his health thing, so he actually heals genuinely. Like in the first one in particular, like so my team, like the best team to have is like so. So they don't they don't really spread them out enough, and there's only certain characters that ever really have to do them. There's some environmental things that you can kind of like. So it could be a fire. Only Iceman can put out fires. Maybe Storm sometimes. There could be like a hole in the ship you're in, and only Cyclops can blast it shut with his blasts. There could be places where you need a bridge, so Jean or Iceman can make bridges, or Nightcrawler can teleport through walls, so he can skip an awful lot of stuff if you've Nightcrawler on the team.
So was it? I can't remember. I remember I always used to have Magneto on the team, but is there elements of I can't remember. Can you switch them out mid-game? Like, can you say, all right?
Yeah, you have to get to like a point. There's like an extraction point. Right. But I think by the second game there was blink teleportals that you could use from anywhere, so you could do whatever you wanted, really. But yeah, especially like X-Men Legends is a really good like you fight a load of Sentinels, you fight Magneto at the end, then you fight some big stupid super Sentinel, but like it's just, and then you like, even with the Ultimate Alliance games, you get to meet so many different characters and just beat them up. Obviously, look, the action isn't the best, and it's a million miles away from fucking Spider-Man now or whatever, but they're just simple. There's a lot of, they're really stoked in fucking X-Men lore. Like you do like trivia quizzes that are like, most of them now, I might only struggle on like one question out of fucking all of them that's in the game, but at the same time, there's still plenty that you're like, oh, I think it's this or whatever. And it kind of plays that game in particular, I think, is the exact same kind of enjoyment as reading the Claremont books or watching the cartoons. It's a little, like, I wouldn't even say it's that dated because it's just a game. Like, it's not, games don't, I don't think, face the same kind of aging to a degree, or the way the game plays. I don't think it's that noticeable. It's kind of like reading an older comic. It's a little bit stuffy, but it's, I don't know, it's just like, even there I'm reading the first time, the flashback in the Claremont one run to the first time Xavier met the Shadow King, which I've seen loads of times in cartoons and I've seen the panels of it, but I only read it recently, and like that's one of the missions of the game. Like Patrick Stewart voices Xavier, like, for fucking ages, like, you know, computer games, it's a lot of people talking. So yeah, you just get to meet a lot of X-Men characters. It's fun, silly. You get to like switch around.
I just googled it on X-Men Revenge. I think that's what the game was, with Mark Hamill, and it's Hugh Jackman on the cover, and then on the back of it you see the Wolverine, and it's like the comic book Wolverine. So it's like there is no like, oh, it's like it's Hugh Jackman's face. I was like, fuck.
There was another.
With this Wolverine game they're making, that Insomniac are making, they should have you fight the Hulk, because that's
that's kind of
how Wolverine was introduced.
So that was a flashback. He doesn't even have to be connected to the story whatsoever. Just flashback bang.
A boss fight, like that'd be great.
Does he come across him? Is that how it is? He's just like in the woods or something?
Originally in the comic, he was a hitman, right? Wolverine was like, I think it was a hitman.
No, he was tasked by the Canadian government to kill him.
Oh, there you
go. Technically, not like a gun for hire. Like a hitman seems more like an organized crime thing.
He was a mercenary.
Yeah. Well, technically not, because he worked for the Canadian government.
So he was a hitman.
Well, no, he was a government operative. Like
he was an officer.
Okay. He was in a government.
6-inch claws.
That's it, essentially. But like in that, he was in Alpha Flight. Like he was basically just a government hired superhero kind of thing, and he was working with the army. But I wouldn't. So mercenary to me seems more of a temporary, like gun for hire type thing.
What you're telling me is that Wolverine was a bootlicker?
Yes. He worked for the government. I actually just got to that point there where like the head of Alpha Flight's like, Wolverine, we spent a lot of money training him. We want him back, and that's the whole thing. Alpha Flight just keep trying to fucking kidnap Wolverine back. But yeah, your man's like, oh, but he resigned. Then make him unresign. He's like, all right, yeah. It's a comic book fight and stuff. But yeah, that'd be fucking great. Like, just because what did it well? So the Ultimate Spider-Man game then too that came out, that it's actually kind of partially written by Michael Bendis. It's set in between issues. Like, yeah, I was actually picking up the issues that it's taken out of, and it not only uses panels, but even in the video it uses dialogue from the comics. I thought that was pretty cool. Like word for word what they say in the comic. But in that, like, so it's Venom and Spider-Man that you play as, but Venom just randomly fights Wolverine in it, which is really fucking cool. Like I thought at the time.
Oh yeah, it does. And it's
He's
like,
like
it's the yellow Wolverine, isn't it? It's like he's wearing the yellow.
no, I think he was around, kind of pushed on by the films. He was vest and jeans, I think.
Oh, maybe it's vest and jeans. Yeah.
There's Spider-Man Web of Shadows where yellow Wolverine's in it. That's another really good one. That's a lot of cool crossover stuff. That also has kind of like Wolverine does, like kind of like the X-Men Legends games. Wolverine quizzes you. Where did I meet you in Germany? And blah blah. Like he quizzes stuff from the comics to Spider-Man. Because like it's inconsequential if you don't get it. Funnily enough, there was a dark version, or because it's like the good and the bad, or the dark version. The dark way to beat Wolverine is it shows Spider-Man ripping him in half, but it doesn't actually show that. It just shows Spider-Man going and it's kind of off camera, and then you just see Wolverine's head here and his feet here. And I was like, that's fucking weird. Like, but yeah, that was another good. Like any game really where they just kind of like they don't just treat it like the Sony films treat Spider-Man, where you don't meet anybody else at all. They don't exist. Like that. Yeah. That is just a fun element. What's
I have a question for you two. Did you ever play the Darkness games? The Darkness 1 and 2 on PS3?
No.
Have you read the Darkness comics at all?
Nope. It sounds familiar. Is it like a guy who's like an emo-looking guy who's like a shadow or something? Yeah,
he's got kind of long dark hair. It's Jackie Estacado, I want to say, and he's part of a crime family. His dad's like the Godfather. He's kind of like next in line to take over, but he's about a party boy, about a playboy, and then this demonic spirit possesses him. The spirits die. It's kind of like Preacher. The spirits die and he needs like a host, and he happens to be the host. But because he's a gangster, he's using these superpowers to basically rule the underworld and rip other gangsters apart. It's like these two like dragon snake things that come out his back, and they speak to him, kind of like Deadpool. He speaks to them, and they basically chomp and attack other people. And the game's got a lot of gunplay as well. You can use the powers while you're shooting guys and stuff. Really cool, dark, interesting story. Garth Ennis worked on some of it in the comic. Because the comic's solid too, and I think it's a Dark Horse, maybe Top Cow. I think it's Top Cow actually, but yeah, definitely worth checking out the comics, and the games are great. It's a good adaptation. The first game's probably darker than the second game. Both of them are pretty dark actually, but yeah, it goes into really some dark territory, like really adult and horrible and mature and interesting though. Like Scorsese meets Venom, I guess. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like if Scorsese made a Venom movie, like. It's definitely worth a look, man. And the Darkness games, and what I remember liking about them is they're both pretty short. They feel like a comic. Like I think there's maybe say 8 chapters, and each chapter feels like an issue. Do you know what I mean? And then when you've played the 8, it takes you maybe 10 hours, and it feels like you've just read a trade paperback. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how I remember it feeling. It felt like,
what's it called again?
The Darkness.
Okay, it's bringing me up the Christmas time. Down at the Bells. What was their main song?
Justin, I believe in a thing called Love.
Oh yeah.
Justin
the guy
has a YouTube channel now, and it's actually pretty good.
He seems He seems like, I was trying to compare him. He seems a little bit like, well, to a lesser extent, but like who's the guy? You're beautiful.
James Blunt.
Yeah, he seems like his music was a lot of cock, but he seems like a funny guy. Like he
knows what he has. Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny and shit on Twitter and stuff or whatever. Yeah. But not to say necessarily that the Darkness is that bad, but he does seem quite charming on his YouTube. I've seen clips from his Instagram and stuff.
He is a bit, but he kind of knows he is. Like he kind of plays it up a bit.
Yeah, he just, I don't know. He's listenable too. Yeah.
No, I like his stuff. I like his analysis.
I think anyone really like. I think that's the funny thing. It's kind of like the stuff with like, I have an Ansel Mount in Multiverse of Madness. Like anything that just refers to something that's already, like if something's already there, that's one thing I've seemed to notice. we're bastards for fucking nostalgia. Like, if anything, you go, oh, that used to be a thing, and now it's a thing. It was like, it's like, oh my god, it's like
that's why they do remakes and reboots. And,
I think they get a little bit different. I think if they just like gave kind of, I guess he's just making a YouTube channel, so he's not referencing the way person he used to be or whatever. But like, it doesn't matter who the person is. If you've a little bit of history with them and then they seem to be all right, I think it's very easy to just be on board with whatever they're doing. Yeah. How the fuck are I talking about them? The game. Oh Jesus, that thing! I went and looked like that, and I could just see there's something coming into my eye. I'm still finding the band.
Any other titles? Because I've got a few more, but let's go around again. Let's get a few more.
Did any of you play the what was it called? The Walking Dead games? The
Telltale series.
Telltale games. Did you ever play
No.
that?
Yeah,
I just I know that's one.
The first couple of seasons are a really interesting adaptation of the comics in the way that they're not an adaptation of the comics. It feels like a sidequel, like it's stuff that's happening at the same time, but with the art style and the storytelling, it feels just as well written and well realized as the comic. So if I'd say it's more like the comic than the show, which is a good thing. By season 3, I didn't really care personally about Clementine's story, but that first chapter is one of the best games I've ever played. Like it's,
really?
I would possibly say it's better than the comic. In terms of the writing, it's so well written. There's a certain moment at the end that still stays with me. Like it's still a personal journey that you go on with the characters, and the way, like The Last of Us, it makes you feel protective over a child. It's the same trope as a zombie apocalypse. You're playing as this convict, Lee. He's on his way to prison at the start when the apocalypse happens for a crime he didn't commit. The policeman obviously runs the car. Well, they never actually say whether he didn't commit or not. They infer that he might have, but I think he caught his wife cheating and killed the guy. I think that's what he's getting accused of. So he's on his way to jail. The cop drives off the road, and then he finds this abandoned house in this small cul-de-sac with a young girl in the house, and her parents are dead. So he takes her with him, and then it's all about their kind of journey together and stuff. And
was there a comic-based feature in her released recently?
I don't know if they've done a comic
since. I think so. Clementine, just when you said that, it sounded familiar. I think they started a comic run with her being the lead.
Right. But that first game's solid.
Gameplay's
simple. It's not. It's a point and click. You point and click and you select dialogue options, but the writing and just the way the characters are written are just memorable. And
usually anything that's not, as I said before, anything that takes you away from the actual physical element of boxing someone's head in.
It very much, it's like Chris always says, about Last of Us and stuff. And I totally think you're right. It's not about the situation; it's about the characters in the situation. Do you know what I mean? And Walking Dead falls into that. It's not about the zombies; it's about the relationship that the characters develop to get through that situation. That's the interesting part. So
I guess I'm just never giving it a full go of anything that's playable and not really playable, but I watch stuff and I play stuff. So why not watch something that's a little bit different? Yeah.
Did any of you ever play any of the Superman games? I remember the
I played a little bit of a Superman Returns or something when he was flying.
The best one I played was based on the Paul Dini series. See the Bruce Timm Paul Dini, the animated Superman. I remember having a game on PS2, PS1 that was based on that was decent. But
I remember something on that, but it was on the Nintendo. Was it not?
It was definitely
was that the notoriously bad one? Was on the N64 or something?
Yeah, Superman 64 is one of the worst games ever made, where you just fly through the rings, the gold rings.
Oh, that's
that game's trash. And then they done a Superman Returns game with the Brandon Mouth.
Yeah, I think I vaguely remember that being kind of all right. It was all right to pick up. The flying, I think, was kind of cool. But
yeah. But the one I played based on the animated series, I'll see if I can find the title of it, because that's the best Superman game I've played. Shadow of Apocalypse. Superman Shadow of Apocalypse is what it's called.
Oh yeah. I do actually recognize that darkness here when I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
My God, that would have looked. I missed that. That would have been Look at
Did you never
that!
play this one, Chris? Ah, you should dig it up. It was on GameCube, so you might have played it on Nintendo, like you said. It was on GameCube. I'm sure it was
really
solid.
good.
It was good at the time. It's probably shaking back to it, but at the time I liked it. The scores here, Metacritic is a 65, so it's not bad, and
That's
IGN
alright,
gave
right?
it a 7 out of 10 at the time.
That's
So
good. Well, I guess it's an old game. It looks alright, man.
There was a good Batman game that I'll give it. I think it is.
Jeez, then it's cel shaded. That looks great, man.
It looks
yeah,
great.
the graphics still look good.
Because it's just done like more cel shaded stuff.
It looks fucking great for the time, man. But the Batman game, I'll shout out for anybody that's used it, is Batman Vengeance.
Vengeance was great.
Was that the animated? Was that animated style too?
It's based on the animated series, because it was Hamill and Conroy did the voices, and what's her name did Harley Quinn, or that does it in the show. I can't remember her name, but yeah, the whole cast basically from the show.
Oh, no, it's not Tara Strong.
No, is it not?
Jesus,
no, does she not do the animated series?
I accidentally googled the animated series,
Arlene
and I was like,
Sorkin's.
Yes, Arlene Sorkin. Yeah, that is what it is. Yeah, it's great. Batman Vengeance is quality.
That's when you that is the footprint for actually
for the Arkham games,
because the way he flies his cape is the exact same way.
Yeah. So, it was totally a precursor, 100%. Yeah, I just remember loving that art style at the time. Yeah.
What's the name of the game again?
Batman Vengeance. It was. He's like on a wire, the kind of in a red cityscape.
What I remember at the time after beating it was it's more like Joker's Vengeance. Yeah. Because Joker kind of fakes his death. It's kind of like the story of Arkham City. Yeah. Joker fakes his death at the start, and then it turns out he's not dead the whole time. It's pretty much Arkham City when you think about it.
They've stole quite a lot from Bob Kane.
Yeah, that's 70% run. That's fucking not bad at all. How did I never? Who said no interest in DC?
Oh my god, that was
who developed it? It's someone. It was Ubisoft. That was a Ubisoft game.
No.
How weird is that? Ubisoft did a Batman game.
Well, and
it was good.
They were reliable in the 2000s.
They made the guys that made Assassin's Creed and Far Cry made a Batman game. That's not maybe not the same people, but same company.
Yeah. There's that weird thing too about companies where you're like, you had this kind of idea of companies from way back, but it's like not one single person works there who worked there when they made this game or that game or whatever. Yeah, I think I was aware, but I didn't think there was any Superman games that were rated that well. But that other one seems to be considering the time or whatever.
Like I said, I think the best one we've had is that when I was talking about Sherd, I don't think there's anything else of note Superman ones. Which is insane. Well, Injustice. I guess you can count Injustice. Not really. It's just Mortal Kombat, really.
Yeah, it's a fighting game. Well, I was going to say, I've mentioned it before. It's another one on my hit list for the PS2. Hulk Ultimate Destruction, which is arguably the prototype for Prototype. It's the same kind of engine, same company. So it's where you first saw, I think anyway, the Hulk making metal boxing fists out of ripping a car in half, which ended up in the film. And I think even the game that came out afterwards, it was it was a film adaptation, which I think was made by a different company. They still had the moves in, but it was just fucking great crack. Very interactive.
What's fascinating? So I was researching this recently because why was I looking at it? It was something to do. I was doing the article on the best. It was a PS2 essay that I was writing, and I was writing about the mid-tier that we used to have, where you got these games that they weren't huge games, but they were solid, made by smaller companies, and then they came out and they did well, kind of like Prototype and stuff. But see, the developers, Radical were one of the mid-tier companies that I was writing about. They made Ultimate Destruction, they made Prototype, but they also made the game based on the Eric Bana Hulk that came out in like 2002.
Oh, they did then? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
Dogs and stuff. The game where you were fighting the dogs and stuff, same as the movie.
Sorry. So that's fucking... That's the one before.
So they've had... Yeah, the one before.
Okay, so they actually...
Anyway, this is technically the Ed Norton Hulk. This was made for... It came out before, I think, but it was... This was the way that Arkham is the Chris Nolan game. This is the Ed Norton game. Do you know what I mean? It was tied in that way. It came out around the same time, although it wasn't a direct adaptation.
Yeah, that's weird. So that same company made 2 games. So did they make the adaptation to the Eric Bana film first, and then they made Ultimate Destruction, and then got passed on to someone else
They
for
made a game
Incredible?
called Hulk in 2003, and that was the one based on Eric Bana's Hulk.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In
I think I was aware that existed slightly.
In 2005, they made Ultimate Destruction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ultimate Destruction. I think he could even destroy buildings and stuff like he could get like a wrecking ball and just like have it just fucking swing at people. Loads of different moves.
It's just sad that they're one of those talented companies that now they're just Activision. Like Activision just hoovered them up, and all the people that used to work on this stuff are just now working on COD or some Destiny or Destiny's Activision, that's Bungie, but yeah, just some generic shit. FIFA probably, like FIFA's EA, but you know what I'm saying.
Did you ever play the Punisher game?
I did. Punisher was great.
I did not.
I really want to play that. That's another one I want to hunt down.
In the way that this was like the Hulk movie, the Punisher game came out around the time of the Thomas Jane movie.
Thomas Jane voiced it, didn't he?
Yeah, but the game was way more Punisher Max than the movie
comics was. And like Iron Man did, you have to fight someone in an Iron. Does Jigsaw have an Iron Man suit for the final boss fight? I think.
Right, I forgot all about that, but yeah.
Iron Man. I never played it at all, so like I was always kind of interested in it from afar. But I heard it's a bit clunky now. But like you torture people, and they had to use.
You had to get information out of people. You would. It was like a furnace, say, and you would just like slowly wheel them into this furnace until their feet would burn, and then they would tell you information.
Put their head on a blade or whatever. The Weekly Planet guys were talking about it. It's probably where actually kind of robbed the idea from, because I listened to old episodes of that now. But they were saying they had to put some of those scenes into black and white so they get past the censors. Yeah. The same thing Tarantino did had to do in Kill Bill, because they like to see blood with them.
So it was released in Britain with the censors, but I think it was released in somewhere else in the world, because if you go on YouTube, there's clips that aren't the black and white, they're the proper coloured versions, because in other countries they were able to release it. But yeah.
I'm pretty sure the fella whose room I took in this house, now I don't know if it's his PS2, but I think he came back to get it, but I must ask him, because I only met him the other day again, but I'm pretty sure he had a copy of Manhunt, which is... Not exactly. You're the hired murderer, but there is some kind of torture elements to that too.
Really.
It sort of kind of looks a little bit like Max Payne. Would you think did it play much like that, or do you remember?
No, I didn't play anything like that. Manhunt was more a stealth game where you would just sneak up behind people and then violently.
Oh, sorry. Max Payne. Max Payne was more. Yeah, it was Punisher like Max Payne.
Really. I guess maybe some of the third-person shooting might have been slightly, but not overly, really. I don't think. Didn't have any slow-motion bullet time or diving or anything. No. Maybe the violence and stuff, though. Might have been similar.
What about like the Marvel Capcom games? Did you play much of them?
No, I didn't.
I think I did, actually. Try to think of Marvel versus Capcom, you mean?
Yeah, the fighting game, yeah.
I used to. I think I used to play a lot of them on PS1. They were there, but I don't know if they were there yet.
Oh yeah, well, I don't think they ever really. They were like arcade level computer games for a long time. It's kind of like Street Fighter now. Like how? Well, it's not, because I think probably from before PS1 to about PS3, those Marvel Capcom games that were coming out in arcades or whatever, they always looked the same. It was like 2D animation kind of thing.
Would you ever think of getting one of those? Like, I've seen it. I actually saw it on eBay a couple of weeks ago. Like,
what's that?
Arcade box.
Nah.
No
waste of space. Wouldn't want to play a shit game, and
you can only play the one game. Like
one game, yeah.
The one game.
Yeah.
Some people really love it. Some people really love it.
My next shout out, I'm getting more obscure. This is a game, again, by Ubisoft, called 13. And it was written XIII in the Roman numerals, 13. And it was kind of like a Jason Bourne story. It was based on a Belgian comic. And again, the video game style was cel-shaded.
Yeah,
the main character was voiced by Thingy for Scully and Mulder. What's his name? Californication.
Really?
What's your man?
David Duchovny. I'm pretty sure I owned that game. It was a first-person shooter, yeah?
It was a first-person shooter.
I did not know he voiced it.
And the way they used the comic panels were really interesting, like for headshots and stuff. It would show you zooming into the head and stuff. It was kind of Jason Bourne. The character had lost his memory and didn't really
Oh, okay. I was like, is it not more James Bond? But I guess you
it's more
mean
Jason
by
Bourne,
actual story and elements into it and all.
But it is set. I think it is set. It's not set in the modern day. I think it is set a few years ago. So, funnily enough, my last review for Keen Gamer was the remake of this game. Word of advice: do not play the remake. Stay away from that garbage. Absolute hack job, like garbage. But the original still looks great. Still holds up. I think if you play it on Steam, like you can get it for like £8, £7 or £8. But it does have black bars at the side. I think your aspect ratio is a bit different. But other than that, it looks, plays, and it just functions better. It doesn't freeze, doesn't glitch. You don't get pop in. They've not reeks. Oh god, see the remake. They took the cell shading out and made it look like Fortnite, basically. Like the graphics now look like Fortnite. And then they put a filter onto the gameplay sections to make it look more like the original, but the pre-rendered cutscenes still look like Fortnite. So and the remake cost about £20, whereas the original cost you about between a £5 and £8. Like much cheaper. If you can get it in a sale, probably get it for about £3. Like, do you know what I mean? It's so much better. So if you're going to go back to it, I'd say either play it on PS2, get an original copy for PS2, or pick it up on Steam, but buy the original. Don't buy the remake.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 13 was fun, man. 13 was good. Conspiracy, a bit cheesy, but fun. Good graphics at the time, good gameplay. But like I said, just don't play that piece of shit remake.
Did you play the whatchamacallit, fucking I got already thought about what I was going to say before I started that sentence. Deadpool game.
Yes, I did.
I never actually played that one. I watched a walkthrough of it though.
So the moment-to-moment gameplay wasn't remarkable at all. Like it was just a generic hack and slash. But the writing and Noah North's performance made it worth playing. I think for me that's the most valuable part. It's a good version of the character. I like the use of like Cable and stuff, and just Noah North just doing his things. Great, like hilarious. The fact that he phones the voice actor Noah North and has a conversation with himself at one point in the game, and the way that he keeps slagging off the video game studio for crunch and for I don't know, just gamer things. It's just funny the way he sort of insults the whole idea of a Deadpool game.
Is there a sequel coming out for that? No, is it?
Nah,
it's done. I don't think it was very successful, although people talk fondly of it. I don't think it sold well.
Oh yeah, I think she is there in the list and all. Get the fuck out! Is Freedom Force the one we were talking about on PS1? No.
Freedom Force, yeah, that was a great game. That was a wee game that you fought for bit to bit, and you played as the team of 4 people, like the big guy, and yeah, that was great.
No, it's different.
How about 2 seconds?
Freedom Force, like some weird superhero thing. That's Fighting Force, I think, is the other one. Did you ever play any of the Lego games? Like that wouldn't interest me at all.
No, I never really like. People loved these Lego games, man, and I don't know how they've become so successful. Like it's
doesn't very well. I look, it's a kids' game, but like it's just they all seem there's no challenge to them or anything.
One thing I just don't. They're everywhere. Like I even saw some job adverts on LinkedIn for like people like game designers and stuff for a new Lego game, and I was like, how is this still a thing? Like, how are these? But I'm guessing you're right.
Yeah.
All these kids want to buy them. And it's like a nice retelling of a story and stuff like that. But
yeah, I don't know. I just think any kind of animation, like if you're going to the bother animating something, why do you need to fucking make them Lego? Like it's just. I guess. Look, the film was one thing, but like the idea of all these games, like if it was a game that was even a bit more kiddish, but like they're still kiddish, but just didn't have the Lego look about them. Or I don't know. I'd be more interested. I guess that's the element of them going for that is to fucking, and they're a whole kind of franchise in themselves. I'm sure there's people who play all the Lego games and like mightn't even be too bothered in any of the IPs they're following or whatever, or particular ones. There was the X-Men arcade game, which I never really played because
what was that?
It was based on I think it was X-Men Children of the Atom. They made a pilot for an X-Men cartoon before the 90s one came out, and they basically just used those designs of the characters. It was like a 6-player game Well, if you had a 6-person cabinet.
Oh, I remember that when you were in
Yeah.
and you were 6 little dongles.
Yeah. So I
Oh
never,
my god.
I never played it much, but I've seen videos of people playing it, and I never saw Cyclops shooting his lasers or whatever, or fucking eye beams. So I was like, can he even? Can any of them? Do any of them have superpowers? But apparently, you get superpowers, but they use your health if you use them.
Yeah, they're like they would either use health or points or something like that. I remember
Yeah.
playing it, and you could never get 6, but you would either have 3 or 2 people, and you would take either side. So you would take 3 characters and having to battle with them. I remember that.
Yeah, I never really played it. I know it's just fondly looked upon within superhero, but like other than that, like it doesn't seem like there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of them. There was like Iron Man and Cap got a few games, and Thor got. I think they were all supposed to be pretty shit. Apart from the Captain America one, is supposed to be okay.
Captain America one's tolerable. Yeah, it was the only one from that slew that was any good. The Thor, no, that was garbage. But
Yeah.
Captain America was okay.
There's a new Captain
Iron Man
America
was
coming
shit.
out, so hopefully, you never know.
And did you play the Ultimate Alliance games at all? Well, there is a new Captain. There's a Captain America and Black Panther game set in World War One, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's a Black Panther game and there's an Iron Man. There's a separate Black Panther game and then an Iron Man game coming out.
Yeah, the second Black Panther game is not confirmed, but it sounds like it's happening. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. But like I'm looking here, there's not an awful lot. When you go back, there's not an awful lot. There's another kind of beat 'em up with the Avengers that's similar to that X-Men arcade one. Miles game, like it's essentially the Peter game. It's not much difference to
The
it.
Ultimate Alliance game, I only played the first one.
Yeah,
And
what do you think of that? So
that was brilliant. I loved that.
that's what the X-Men Legend games are. That's the exact same people who made them, and the exact same, like. I always find it weird when people talk about it online. They don't go, "Oh, this is kind of like a proto Ultimate," but it's like it's the same. Like it's just different characters, really.
It's just the same, but you're not just limited to X-Men. You know, you get Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I think even in certain ones you can have enough X-Men. You can nearly still have there's still like 6 X-Men there. Like anyway, just you have all the extra ones.
One last one I want to shout out is actually not a comic book technically, but it's a superhero story that then became a comic, and it was called Infamous.
Oh yes,
Infamous, because those games were fun.
Was that
Yeah.
Naughty Dog?
No, it was Sucker Punch, the guys that made Ghost of Tsushima.
Right.
Oh really? Yeah, I have one of them from the PS Plus collection on my thing, and I tried to play one of the first ones, I think, but I never really. How many? There's like 4 different games. It's like.
Technically, there's 3, and then like an extended DLC where he played as Fetch, who was a second character in that last game, the PS4 one. Out of all 4 games, for me, the Fetch DLC, it's called Infamous First Light. That's my favourite. 1 and 2 are good, but they're a bit darker. It's a bit more like kind of emo grungy type. The one with Troy Baker, Infamous Second Son, that one's more kind of upbeat and happy-go-lucky. And then Fetch is somewhere in between, but just the gameplay of playing as Fetch, her character's like, her power's like neon light, so she can like transfer at the speed of light and stuff and fire neon. It's an interesting power set, and it's fun, and it's dynamic, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
Is she just a character in the game?
She's a side character in Second Son, and then she got her own like the way that Red Dead got Undead Nightmare. It was like an extended story DLC, or Spider-Man. The way that Spider-Man got his DLC, it's just the same thing. But yeah, First Light's great fun. Have you got any last minute ones you want to squeeze in before we wrap up? Because we've been going nearly 3 years again.
The 3 hour boys. There was a Judge Dredd game that I think my brother played. I didn't really play, but I think it was on the PS1 probably, or PS2. Now it was obviously it was a pretty
small bell.
I think you could like arrest people. It nearly makes me think like I'd want to go back and play it from what I remember of it. You could go up and you could like arrest people and give them judgments or whatever, and just want to have some power over people.
You get any? You want to squeeze on?
I'm dry. I say.
Jesus Christ. Have you played the Guardians game, Dan? Haven't you?
I have it. I have not played it. It's sitting on my shelf. I've not got around to it yet.
Midnight Suns. I've no interest.
I have got. It's technically not. It's not in the Marvel universe, but it did have comics. I think after the movies came out, Alien versus Predator, and it was the first.
Oh yeah.
I think it was on PC. It was just called. It was like Alien vs Predator, where you're just the Marines, and I think you could go online. You could be a Marine, and Predator, and Alien, but you were mostly a Marine in the story.
I remember that game.
Yeah.
It had the green cover. Yeah, it was cool. That was fun.
I think I played that.
There was a new one that came out. I think it came out with like a re-release of it, but there was like a really old one that I remember playing, and it was fucking ridiculously hard.
Yeah, I got it on my PC, but sorry, I couldn't tell you what it is.
If that's everything said, I think we'll wrap up there.
Done.
Let us know. Let us know though if we missed any. Let us know in the comments if you guys
more.
Any.
I'd still advise the Avengers fucking game that's now dead is still worth playing for the story.
Really?
Again,
okay.
I need to get round to that. It's sitting on my shelf.
If you already have it, or you'll probably get it for literally nothing in a couple of months because they're not servicing it anymore. The main campaign is worth playing, and I think the characters play reasonably well enough. I still enjoy the idea of like, you know, when you're Cap, just like fucking spamming your shield on someone or charging in someone with the shield. Like there's still elements.
Dead. But we can. In the meantime, you can find us on socials. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Linktree.
Facebook, rate us, like us, subscribe.
I'll put my new game rant articles below if you want to read them and follow me.
Share.
Dan Boyd 95 on Twitter, Jerd and Dan on Twitter. TikTok's happening.
I'm doing a viral TikTok dance.
Get on it like a carb on it. We'll be back next week with some other silly topic to discuss. But until then, Daddy's got a brand new SmackDown.
There you go.